hoops, relax, the jumps, the kicks. B-ball, hardball, softball, sticks, the blood, the sweat, the art, the smart, the brains, the boss, the soul, and heart. News and views, scores and scores. Legends, losers, rivals, myths, the balls, the victories, and the hits. Introducing college sports television. Never before have so many college sports been jammed into one network. College sports television, #1 in college sports.
The USCHO Game of the Week is the first ever national internet broadcast for women's college hockey. It is also individually funded. That's why the Game of the Week needs your support to maintain and expand its coverage. For more information on how to contribute, please call 212-933-0652 or send an email to uschobroadcast@yahoo.com. That's 212-933-0652 or uschobroadcast@yahoo.com. Falling in Hanover, New Hampshire, and the temperature reads but 9 degrees on this Saturday afternoon. But inside Thompson Arena, it should be a dandy. Two of the best programs in women's college hockey going head-to-head in what some ways could decide first place and the site of this year's ECAC Hockey League Championships. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Schultz. She is former Dartmouth captain Tiffany Haig, back for another go-around. And Tiffany, you can look at the standings. You see Dartmouth won, 3 points clear of St. Lawrence this weekend, and with obviously the winner of this conference being able to host its conference championship, pretty obvious what is at stake here today.
Right. Well, anytime these two teams meet, it always makes for a great competition and a great game. But especially after the Christmas break, when there's playoff implications on the line, obviously the importance of the game is magnified, and I expect to see a great competitive game between these two teams.
Let's talk about Dartmouth and St. Lawrence. You were part of this rivalry for a number of seasons. Some defining memories, some defining features of how these two teams typically match up.
Well, my memories always of St. Lawrence are always that it's just a battle. St. Lawrence has always been a very gritty team, not necessarily the prettiest team, but always comes to play and plays hard. They make you work for every inch, and I would expect nothing less of this team. The biggest compliment that I can give to St. Lawrence as a former player is that they're a tough team to play against. They're not a fun team to play against, and I think that that's the biggest compliment you can give another team.
The Saints come in ranked 6th in the country, 20 wins, just 5 defeats and 2 draws, but unbeaten in their last 11. And with a big win in the final minute of regulation last night against the Harvard Crimson, they have assumed the number 2 position in the league at 12-3. But everyone's chasing your alma mater, the Dartmouth Big Green. Now, they have gone through the rash of injuries that seemingly afflicts this program every year, but they have handled it so well. We saw it last month against UNH when they didn't have Sherry Piper, they didn't have Katie Weatherston, they battled to a tie. What's been sort of from what you saw in that game, what's been some of the keys to this team weathering the storm as well as they have?
Well, I think this team just has great leadership, starting with Jillian Epps, obviously coming back off the Canadian Olympic team, is doing a great job of leading the younger players. I also think some of the younger players, especially the sophomore class, has a lot of character in it. Shannon Bowman, Maggie Kennedy, Julia Bronson, all stepping up. And I just think that team does an unbelievable job of rallying around each other and really digging deep, and everyone does a good job of knowing their role and knowing what they need to do. Carolyn Etier, as senior assistant captain as well, has done a great job of getting her team fired up, and I think that, every year we face a little bit of adversity with injuries, as is bound to happen. Dartmouth traditionally carries a smaller roster, which I think in some ways is beneficial, just for getting the players together and letting them understand their roles and knowing the importance of stepping up in the situation. So I think that's a big key for Dartmouth, is being able to step up in those situations.
Dartmouth comes in ranked 3rd in the rankings, 3rd in the pairwise as well, 16-4-2 overall, 13-1-1 in ECAC Hockey League play. And as we referenced, if they were to gain 2 points today, they would be 5 points clear with a month to play, and they would be done with their series against Harvard. and St. Lawrence. Certainly an excellent position for Mark Hudak's troops to be in as they aspire to host the USCHO Hockey League Championship. Conversely, should St. Lawrence win, just 1 point would separate these two longtime rivals as they come down the stretch here in 2007. Let's step aside for one more quick commercial break and then bring things back for the drop of the puck. Number 6 St. Lawrence, number 3 Dartmouth. USCHO Game of the Week on the way in just a moment.
TV. No lockouts, just hockey.
Next weekend, it's a Division III Friday and a Division I Saturday on the USCHO Game of the Week. Friday night, MEAC rivals collide when Gustavus Adolphus meets St. Thomas. Then Saturday, defending national champion Wisconsin visits Minnesota Duluth. Gustavus Adolphus versus St. Thomas Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and Wisconsin UMD Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, only on USCHO.com.
Now we got the game to lift you off your seat. The ladies with the cans for quicker feet. Ball handlers get sweet but strong. No hook to the hole, you can't go wrong. When you got a game this good, pass it on. Pass it on, 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 pass it on. Pass it on, pass it on. CSTV, the best women's basketball schedule. Pass it on, pass it on.
Number 3 Dartmouth and number 6 St. Lawrence, longtime rivals in the ECAC Hockey League, and they meet this afternoon ranked first and second in the conference pecking order. Dartmouth coming in 16-4-2 overall, 13-1-1 in the conference. St. Lawrence nipping at their heels, 20 up, 5 down, 2 even, 12-3 in the conference. Brian Schultz, Tiffany Haig on hand at the rink in which she did a lot of damage during her career. And Tiffany, in a nutshell, your expectations, your keys to this latest round of Dartmouth and St. Lawrence.
Well, as I said before, Brian, this is always a battle. St. Lawrence always comes out hard. I think one of the keys for both teams is to get a lot of shots early. Both of these goaltenders have been hot as of late, coming up with big saves for their team. So I think in order to be successful, they're going to need to get shots right off the bat and go the net hard. I also think whichever team can establish the more physical tone early is going to benefit from that. I think that they need to send a message as to who's in control. Dartmouth has an excellent power play. I think if they can get St. Lawrence to draw some penalties and maybe capitalize on that, that would be great for Dartmouth. St. Lawrence, the same thing. I think they need to stay out of the box because this Dartmouth power play is so dangerous.
St. Lawrence in the Road Reds with brown pants and black and white trim. Dartmouth in the home whites with the green helmets, green pants, and black trim around the green lettering. Home team will skate left to right. So glad you could join us on this Saturday afternoon. It is snowing. It is cold in Hanover, New Hampshire, but it is winter. And it feels like hockey season with these two rivals in what is best described as something close to a playoff atmosphere. Carly Clemis and Megan Gukian, of course, getting the starts in nets. Clemis, the sophomore out of Alberta, has had a great year, 14-4-2 with 1.7 goals against and 93% save percentage. And at the other end, Megan Gukian, the junior out of Victor, New York, 16-5-2 with a 2.08 and 92% save percentage. Underway with the first shift of the game on the far side of the neutral zone. Brittany Smith just lobbing deep to the Dartmouth end. Clemis will let Sarah Noonan pick up. And a sophomore defenseman sends it up the right wing side to Sherry Piper, who just got back in the lineup last weekend in the big win over UNH, and such a huge force whenever she is available to Mark Hudak's Big Green.
Yeah, Dartmouth obviously very happy to have Sherry Piper back in the lineup. Whether or not at full strength, she's obviously a huge benefit to have on your bench and on the ice, obviously.
Sabrina Harbeck on the far side. First appearance by her as an angled shot comes in, and Clemis will smother the first offering of the day with Harbeck, who is second in the nation in total points with 45 just outside the crease.
It was a good shot by St. Lawrence there, just getting the puck to the net. It didn't look like a dangerous shot, but it looked like one of the St. Lawrence girls had Clemis a little bit screened. She was able to come up with a save, but good job by St. Lawrence to get the puck to the net early.
Katie Weatherston's unit matched up with Harbeck's for this shift. Weatherston with a pair of goals in the win against Clarkson last night. And here she comes skating out of her own zone, trying to engineer a 3-on-2 as Harbeck scrambles back to even the odds. Weatherston on right wing, boarded up by All-American Annie Gay. And Gay averaging a point per game in her junior season. Backhands on left wing to Chelsea Grills, who missed all of last year with an injury. Grills trying to center. That was knocked away. And it's Maggie Kennedy golfing it out to center ice. Gay on left wing to Grills. Poke check applied by Kennedy. Weatherston reaching for it. Comes up with it on the right wing side. Centers it to the cutting Etier. Etier snaps off a shot that sails wide. And Weatherston scoops up the Karen far side before heading to the bench. Down low, Cunningham in front. Etier turning it toward goal on Gukian makes her first save of the day as Lisa Batchelor chips it off the wall but can't get it beyond the blue line as Bronson holds in. Abby Bullard, lone senior on the St. Lawrence defense, on the far side to Casey Hughes, and they're able to bounce it out of the zone as Courtney Sawchuk picks up at center, ridden off there by Bronson. Cunningham reaching for it along with Sawchuk. Neutral zone play with 2:10 gone by in a scoreless first period here at Thompson Arena.
We see already the two teams going back and forth, exchanging chances within the first 2 minutes of the game.
Along the blue line, Bronson having trouble is taken by Crystal Connors. Connors knifing to the center of the ice on the backhand, patted away by Clemis. Bronson and Mariana Locke go after it in the far corner. Bronson wins that free. Weatherston pushes forward, leading the charge on left wing this time, trying to finesse her way over the line. Dispossessed by Connors, and Crystal Connors, a senior out of New Jersey, circles back behind her own net. Up now to Mariana Locke. Locke on through to Allison Domenico, the hero of last night's 2-1 win over St. Lawrence. Domenico scoring a goal with 50 seconds left in regulation as St. Lawrence exercising the Bright Center Demons that had not won in that building since the 2001 season and put themselves in second place in the conference.
Yeah, St. Lawrence coming out here strong right off the bat. Got a few good shots on net. Again, they need to get traffic to the net. I think Clemis has been very strong in net for the Big Green.
Off the draw, it's dumped down by Clemis. And Newnham tracks it there. Wrapping it around to the near side is Sherry Piper. Piper playing on the line with Sarah Parsons and Jillian Apps. Parsons crossing it to offensive real estate, hacks it toward Gukian. Paddles to the side of Brittany Smith. And a Canadian under-22 defenseman wraps around to Crystal Connors. Connors, a long saucer pass, too hot for Domenico to handle. It sails all the way down, and as Newnham will pick up. Newnham wheels it back to the near side to Parsons. Parsons in her freshman season with 28 points. Runs into trouble in the form of the All-American Harbeck, but now it's Piper wheeling back to her own end to create some space. Piper lobbing on the right wing to Parsons. Parsons has it taken away by pushing Annie Gay, and Gay gets it deep for the Saints. Settling down here, still scoreless, 3.5 gone as Grills fishes for it along with Piper, whose puck bounces behind the Dartmouth cage, scooped up there by Minnesota native Amy Cobb. Cobb leaving now for Meredith Batchelor. Batchelor trying to slap it through the zone. It bounced off a leg and ricocheted back to the far corner. Harbeck trying to center from there. Intercepted by Janet Cunningham. And Cunningham with 10 goals in her rookie campaign skates into St. Lawrence ice. Far side, it's Etier starting the cycle to Cunningham. Goes through her stick as Nicole Ruda will give chase in the near corner. Monitored step for step by Brittany Mashmeyer. Wrapped around far side to Etier. Etier crashes into Annie Gay. Lost her stick in the process. Fished up the wall by Tara Axtell. Taken though now by Ruda. Slinging it near side. Sue Schmitz drops it back behind the net to Maggie Kennedy. Kennedy matched up with Annie Gay. Up the wall it goes to Bronson. A wrist shot, no screen, gloved by Gukian, and she will hold on with an army of red shirts in front of her.
These top two lines for St. Lawrence log a lot of ice time. Already we see Grills, Harbeck, and Duggan out there quite a bit for St. Lawrence in the first few minutes. Also Annie Gay, probably, arguably their top defenseman, is going to log a lot of minutes. She's already had about 3 shifts since 5 minutes in. So.
Early shots on goal tally 4-2 in favor of the Big Green. Puck down low in the St. zone, taken by Casey Hughes. Hughes chipping around far side. Lisa Batchelor headed off by Kennedy. Kennedy and Bronson fishing for it just outside the far circle, but it's Axtell winning the battle, and Tara Axtell scales it on ahead.
St. Lawrence doing a good job of causing the Dartmouth defensemen to turn over the puck high in the zone there. They're all over the D and jump right on the puck.
St. Lawrence unbeaten in its last 11. Talking to Coach Flanagan, felt like they got off to a bit of a shaky start. Felt like they didn't bring the work ethic every night in the first half and paid for it. They were 10-5-2 at one point, but 10-0-1 since then.
Right, I think when you look at the St. Lawrence roster as well, they have a lot of young players, a lot of sophomore and freshmen littered throughout their lineup, and I think it's just a matter of time before they get accustomed. Obviously, St. Lawrence has always been a contender at the end of the season, and I think that Coach Flanagan does a good job of getting his troops to peak at the right time.
They've been to 3 consecutive Frozen Fours. Nicole Ruda wrapping it through the center ice area. Jenna Cunningham steps through a check down low. Cunningham from an angle centered it in front. It bounced off Kerry Wallace's leg and just wide of the far post. Now Ruda pushing it toward Guki and intercepted by Brittany Smith. Smith on the quick turnabout, 5.5 gone in the first, slinging it rink wide at Courtney Sawchuk. Sawchuk content to play dump and chase as she is at the end of her shift.
Jenna Cunningham, the freshman for Dartmouth, has been really big for them, has come up with some big goals this year. She's a really hard worker, quick skater. I think she wasn't as heralded out of this freshman class for Dartmouth. Obviously, with Sarah Parsons coming in with a bronze medal, maybe got a little more attention, but Cunningham has really stepped up for the Big Green.
Jillian Apps shot with a screen that did not go through. Apps always gets a lot of attention, and her next goal will be a new career high for the senior captain with 22 on the season. And orchestrating on left wing with Piper driving the net. She snaps one off, and Gukian caught that with the stick. Lively carom on the near side to Dominico, and she lobs on ahead as Katie Gray skates back to pick up in her own end. The pass nearly turned over to Dominico, who rushes after it, but Clemens plays it away from the streaking sophomore. On the far side, it's taken back by Harbeck. Harbeck with a couple of moves in traffic, trying to use her size to her advantage. Gets help from longtime linemate Carson Duggan as Chelsea Grills fires away. Whose puck is jammed in by Harbeck on the backside, and St. Lawrence grabs a 1-0 lead as their All-American comes through early.
Well, you have to give credit to Harbeck on that play. She had the puck in the corner with 2 Big Green defenders right all over her, and she did a good job of keeping control of the puck and then getting it out to the slot. Her teammate took a great shot, but she was there for the rebound. Went hard to the net. There was nothing Clemens could do as it was behind her already.
So Grill's wrist shot kind of squeaked through the armpit. It looked like Clemens was cradling it, thought she might have it, then all of a sudden started looking behind her, and it was lying just outside an end line. And Harbeck able to reach and tap home her 20th of the year. And so St. Lawrence grabs a 1-0 lead in the opening stage of the game, similar to the start they got off to against Harvard last night en route to a 2-1 victory.
I'm sure Clemens wishes she could have that one back. It just seemed to squeak through. Harbeck is so dangerous. Not only is she big and strong, but she also has excellent hands and puck control.
Cherry Piper on the left wing side, trying to use her strength against Abby Bullard. Lost an edge in the corner. Gets help from Parsons now. Parsons and Piper trading places. Parsons leaving it for the senior forward from Ontario, trying to give and go. That was broken up by Bullard. And here's Batchelor now springing Sawchuk through center, but off her stick. And now Carrie Thompson for the Big Green. As Bronson pushes it into space nicely, here comes Sarah Topol over the line. Topol with some momentum, but wrists it wide of the mark. And Marley McMillan scoops up the loose puck down low. Centered in front. Terry Thompson did not have the stick down. And it's taken now by Wallace for the Saints. Wallace protecting with that 5'10 frame. Winding it around near side to Sawchuk. And Courtney Sawchuk leaving it for Casey Hughes, who massages it lightly to herself off the wall. And then diagonals on ahead to Batchelor, who dumps it down from there.
We have an all-Minnesota line out here right now for Dartmouth with Topo, McMillan, and Kerry Thompson.
Standing next to a product of the state of Minnesota. On the far side, Cobb leaving for Newnham. Newnham off the wall, neatly to Marley McMillan, and McMillan will play dump and chase from the red line as Bowman gives chase along with Weatherston. Weatherston trying to slip a check down low. Nice work by Locke from her forward position. Weatherston, though, digs it free on the follow-up. Now comes Bowman down low to help out her senior. Weatherston now racing after in the near corner. Wallace gets there first. Moves it up the wall to Dominico. The wall is shut off by a couple of big green, and so Brittany Smith will have to reset from down low. Smith near side to Dominico. On the backhand, just uses the air to clear it down and get some fresh legs on as Katie Gray scoops it up in her own end.
St. Lawrence is doing an excellent job right now in their defensive zone. Dartmouth is getting a few good shots off the rush, but they're not getting any sustained pressure. St. Lawrence had all four of their players back that time with their fifth player off for a change, and when she got on the ice, she went straight to her D zone. They're doing an excellent job right now.
Shot from long range by Gay sails wide. Harbeck, Grills, and Duggan, the top offensive unit for St. Lawrence, is out there right now. And again, we see, at least for the time being, the Weatherston line matched up against them. Remember a couple of weeks ago when Dartmouth played Harvard, saw Mark Hudak, even though he was on the road, really looked to get the Apps unit opposite Julie Chu's line in that game. He said he might play a little matchup hockey at some point along the way here today as Sarah Parsons crosses into the high slot, creates space for a wrist shot, and a pad save by Gukian as Apps hacks it on the far side. Parsons trying to steal behind the net, but Gay wraps it on through to Sawchuk. Sawchuk leaving it now for Casey Hughes, and behind the net once again to Gay. Gay firing it hard off the wall. It's going to go the distance for an icing call. Midway point of the first period, and Serena Harbeck's 20th of the season has St. Lawrence up 1-0.
St. Lawrence taking every opportunity they get to clear the puck out of the zone. It was a good job by Annie Gay there using the glass to get it out. Dartmouth finally is getting some sustained pressure, and St. Lawrence is just doing a good job of saying, hey, let's get it out of our zone. Let's not play around with the puck deep.
Off the draw, it is Batchelor. Accomplished defensive forward for the Saints in her sophomore season, but already has 20 points as well. Sending it the distance as Clemens stops behind the cage, and now Etier on the far side. Carolyn Etier, senior assistant captain, crossing the center ice insignia with speed as she hits the line. Wrist shot, she scores! Carolyn Etier, end to tie the game at one apiece.
An excellent shot by Etier going high to the blocker side of Gukian. Great placement. Again, Etier with a very powerful shot. It was great release on that. And Jenna Cunningham and Nicole Ruda did a good job. Ruda did a great job of moving the puck up through the neutral zone, and Jenna Cunningham set a really subtle pick at the blue line, allowing Etier to get some extra space and go wide on the defender.
So Etier with her 9th and a beautiful wrist shot top shelf to the far side as Megan Gukian reassembling her entire gear after that. Not sure what happened there. It looks like maybe one of her straps on her pads came undone. But yeah, kind of actually took off the jersey and reset everything. Now looks like she's ready to go. But the game is tied at 1. So Harbeck's 20th and Etier's 9th.
Seen Carolyn Etier score a few of those goals in her career. She likes to go high blocker, and again, great placement on the shot.
She is in that category of players with Jenny Cunningham that when Weatherston and when Piper were out, really kind of stepped up in the goal-scoring department. We saw that against UNH, Etier scoring early in that game.
Absolutely. She definitely has the ability to. I think that's a key to this Dartmouth team. They're very deep, and they have a lot of players that, their top players obviously get a lot of attention and score a lot of goals and do a lot for the team. But when they're out, when Weatherston's out, when Piper's out, they have a lot of ammo that they can go to on their bench.
And that is really the thing with the Dartmouth, St. Lawrence, Harvards of the world. They have those star caliber players, but on the days where they can get goals from elsewhere in the rotation, they become very difficult to beat. As the puck pops out of play, and we'll reset the draw in the neutral zone. Just over the midway point of the first, Brian Schultz, Tiffany Haig on hand in Hanover, New Hampshire. So glad you could join us for this USCHO Game of the Week video cast. Has had a goal for each side in the first 10 minutes. And here comes Maggie Kennedy off the offensive line for the home team. Trying to center for Bowman. Broken up by Crystal Connors. And Connors moving up the right wing side. Gains center ice and chips in as Dominico will give chase along with Sarah Nuno. Now Cobb for the big green. Off the wall on the near side. Might have hit the referee in the back. And Nuno will have to reset from below the end line. Scales it around the dasher. Kennedy pushes along. Connors trying to steal. Nice backhand feed. 2-on-1 created. Bowman and Weatherston. Weatherston Cross, Bowman redirects, she scores! Weatherston orchestrating, Bowman finishing, and Dartmouth a 2-1 lead.
Great pass by Katie Weatherston there, just finding the seam. The St. Lawrence defender played it as well as she could, and again, the goalie has to play the shot on that, but excellent job by Katie Weatherston finding Bowman, and Bowman with the big finish for the Big Green.
Well, Katie Weatherston had the entire arena eating out of her hand there, kind of selling past to the last possible second. She was square all the way, didn't really make any motion at all, just kind of drifted along, and then deftly flicked it across, and Shannon Bowman was right there to pop home her 7th. So, and give credit that on that second assist to Maggie Kennedy, a little backhand pass, some traffic along the wall, and all of a sudden you got a 2-on-1, and Dartmouth converts with 2 goals in rapid succession. They take their first lead 2-1.
Absolutely, Kennedy did a nice job there of being tough along the boards and getting that puck out. Again, high turnovers for both teams, so dangerous.
Ooh, Piper takes a shot from behind from Harbeck, and Harbeck actually immediately reached down to see if she was okay, as there's going to be a penalty. And Sherry Piper, who has certainly not been treated kindly by the hockey gods when it comes to health, so talented and so strong, but suffering a series of ailments throughout her career, and looks to be okay here, though she's a little bit slow in moving along. But bottom line is Harbeck to the box and Dartmouth to the power play, and it looks like Piper's good enough to stay out there and assume her customary point position.
Yeah, Piper's so tough, but yet so talented. Takes a lot of shots, depending on how people play her. She gets hit a lot, but she's a tough kid. I believe she's injured right now. I don't think she's at 100%, but she's just so talented and such an asset to have on the ice.
Well, at this point in the season, if you have any kind of an ailment, it's probably not going to heal till the season's over. But especially in her senior campaign, players like herself and Julie Chu at Harvard, not much reason to hold it back at this point. So
absolutely. Mark Hudak going with an interesting look here for the Dartmouth power play. 5 forwards on the ice.
And 5 very good ones at that, with Weatherston, Bowman, Parsons, Apps, and Piper. Piper is the engine up top, and she's got the stick cock, has 2 defenders down, creates a lane, wrist shot, nice shoulder save by Gukian as Parsons gobbles up the loose puck far side.
Great fake by Piper, getting both St. Lawrence forwards to bite on that.
Down low, Weatherston, backdoor, Apps, wrist shot, oh, what a save by Gukian with the glove.
Great save by Gukian there. Excellent release by Jillian Apps. Obviously, their leading goal scorer, I believe, for Dartmouth. Shannon Bowman with a nice pass from down low. You see excellent puck movement from Dartmouth. Again, going with the 5 forwards up front is a little different look. I don't think I've seen that from many teams in the college ranks, but Mark Hudak either showing confidence in his forwards or...
Well, he's got some forwards that can play some D, too.
Definitely.
Piper being one of those. The wrist shot by Etier, as Connors forwards it out of the slot, but not out of the zone. So we have Etier, another forward, playing up top here on the second power play unit. She blasts away, tipped down and through the legs of Gukian, but just wide as Nicole Ruda got a piece of that offering, and it trickled just beyond the post. Down low, it's Cunningham. It goes through her stick, and here's Kennedy. Got another penalty. This is going to go to the Saints as Etier fires away. Another tip from Ruda that goes just wide. Dartmouth now has a 6-on-4 as Piper races off the bench, and the net vacates. Centered in front. Piper's knocked down in the crease. Wrist shot by Batchelor. Bouncing puck loose on the doorstep. Hacking at it. Gukian did enough to keep it out, and St. Lawrence touches up. We'll have 5-on-3 for 41 seconds.
It's a big kill right here for St. Lawrence. As I mentioned before the game, Dartmouth has such an unbelievable power play that they move the puck so well, and I think the biggest thing is they get shots to the net, and they get traffic to the net, which is very hard for Gukian to stop. It's going to be big for St. Lawrence to see if they can kill this off. If they can kill this off, they can take the momentum and run with it. But if not, it's really going to hurt them. I think they need to work on staying out of the box. I'm not even sure what the last call was.
It's going to be on Wallace. There was some contact in front with Ruda that was called. And so Wallace and Harbeck in the box for 41 seconds. And after Sabrina Harbeck's goal, Dartmouth has gone to work. They now have a 13-3 shots on goal advantage. They have a 2-1 lead on the board and a golden opportunity for more here with a half a minute. And 2 of St. Lawrence's better players sitting in the sin bin. Brittany Smith down low, trying to protect against a host of Dartmouth players. Does a nice job to work it free to Annie Gay, and Gay will get the clearance, so that's going to knock off most of the 5-on-3 as Clemens stops the side for Jillian Apps. Apps behind her own cage, cautiously forward. Apps robbed on that most recent sequence by Gukian. We saw that exact same tic-tac-toe play pulled off against Harvard 2 weeks ago with Apps on the finishing end, but there Gukian said no, and now it's 5-on-4 for a minute 20 as Piper navigates calmly through the center ice area. Piper from long range with a drive. It caught a St. Lawrence stick and redirected wide. Down low, it's Parsons. Parsons with 20 assists in her freshman campaign. Rotates it up top to Sherry Piper. Minute to go on the power play. Far circle, Parsons winds, fires. In front was Weatherston, but couldn't come up with a follow. Puck pushed behind the net. Harbeck is out of the box and into the play, and Brittany Mashmeyer clears to the blue line where it's gloved down neatly by Piper. Now to Parsons outside the far ring. Back up top. Piper on the swing to Apps for the one-timer. Caught the leg of Sabrina Harbeck and ricocheted back out of the zone. Good break for the Saints as Piper comes back to her own blue line and leaves now for Sarah Parsons. Parsons wraps to Katie Gray, trying to headman for Ruda. Too far for her and taken back by Mashmeyer. So the Saints thus far doing a nice job on their kill. Only 29 seconds for them to get through here. And 6 minutes showing on the first period clock. Dartmouth 2 and St. Lawrence 1.
So difficult with Dartmouth having 4 Olympians on their power play. Who do you cover? I think that's a struggle that St. Lawrence is facing right now, but they only have 22 seconds left to kill and have done a good job.
Well, if nothing else, I imagine it's very tough to be aggressive. You almost have to be passive because of the skill level and the way those players can move and handle the puck.
Absolutely. If you overplay or overcommit to any one of those players, they're going to burn you by finding someone that's open.
22 seconds for the second Dartmouth power play to work with here, with a draw just outside the zone. It's controlled by the Saints. Annie Gay will push it all the way down once again. So St. Lawrence in a critical situation for them, down 2-1 and facing a 5-on-3. Comes up with the big kill, and now Crystal Connors looking to transition to offense on the far side, dispossessed by Etier. And Etier, who scored Dartmouth's first goal, moves through center. Etier on left wing has Cunningham driving. The wrist shot is swallowed up by Gukian high on the crease, and she holds on.
Wallace out of the box. St. Lawrence back to even strength. Sure that Paul Flanagan is telling his team that we need to get some shots on net. Can't give anything up before the end of the period. So we'll see how St. Lawrence responds now that they're back to even strength.
Those recent power play shots mounted for the Big Green. Now 15 for the home team to just 4 for the Saints. Far side, it is Thompson. Puck golf behind the cage. Topol stepping after it there, but taken now by Bullard. Bullard up the wall, held by Cobb. Cobb with a wrist shot, paddled aside by Gukian. Bullard tips it free to Axtell. And Tara Axtell finds Courtney Sawchuk, her classmate, on left wing. Sawchuk, the freshman, over the Dartmouth line, but I believe we're going to have the call for offsides on the Saints with 5 to play in the first.
Saints did a good job early on of just keeping the game simple, getting the puck deep. I think that they need to get back to that a little bit. Obviously, we're thrown off with a few of those penalty kills that they had to do, but right there, just get the puck deep, chase it, work your forecheck. St. Lawrence is so good on their forecheck and at causing those turnovers that I think that would be most beneficial to them at this point.
Far side in the neutral zone, Lisa Batchelor sealing it deep behind Clemens' cage. Clemens stops for Sue Schmitz, and the Wisconsin native tips to Bronson. Bronson's wraparound hit the referee in the skates, so she'll have to try it again from the far corner. Lost her edge. It's held along the blue line, thrown into the circle to Axtell. Tara Axtell now to Sawchuk. Sawchuk in front. Axtell on the backhand, and Clemens a nice pad save as she covers.
Nice save by Clemens.
Let's do a little two-man game there between the two Saint rookie forwards, Courtney Sawchuk and Tara Axtell. It's still 2-1 Big Green. Etier and Bowman for the home team, and Sabrina Harbeck's 20th for the visitors.
See Harbeck's line lined up against Apps' line again. Wonder if there's some matching going on there.
Well, Mark Kudak has the last change. This time he does fight fire with fire as Harbeck wins the draw, wrists it toward Clemens, and some traffic in front, was able to see that one and gobble it up once again.
Again, good job by St. Lawrence just getting the puck on net. I think that's a key. Dartmouth has been shooting the puck a lot and out shooting the Saints quite badly right now, but the key is just to get a few shots on net, maybe not dangerous, and get people going in that can poke in the rebounds. Clemens is so good on the first shot.
Off the draw, it's taken by Batchelor for the Big Green. Harbeck and Grills in the vicinity, but chipped around near side to Piper. Piper drops it back to Gray. Gray on the bump, 20 hot, went right to Chelsea Grills. She wheels it off the end line, centers it in front, but knocked away alertly by Parsons, and Parsons steps forward through center. Was slashed along the way, but stays with it and pushes it to the near corner and matches up now with Annie Gay. Gay wraps it around where it's taken by Jillian Apps. Apps trying to find the outlet, but the pass too hard for Sarah Noonan to get over and collect, so she'll have to skate all the way back down and pick up in her own end. Noonan's long headman now to Piper. Broken up and taken by Connors. Sarah Noonan once again for the Big Green. Piper still out there. Chips it on ahead, looking for Weatherston. Went through her stick and taken back by Carrie Wallace.
Piper's caught out here on quite a long shift.
The Weatherston line has partially come on. Weatherston and Bowman are out there. Maggie Kennedy is not, and now Piper heads off for number 9. As Newnham and Wallace skate after it down low. Kerry Wallace, a mobile defenseman at 5'10", but lost to Weatherston down low. She fires it high off the glass and out of the zone. Puck going all the way down, and Liza makes the call for an icing with 3:14 to go in the first, and Dartmouth up on top, 2-1.
St. Lawrence has some excellent defensemen in Annie Gay, Kerry Wallace, and Brittany Smith especially. All three of those defensemen doing a great job of making good decisions, knowing when to carry the puck and join the rush, as Wallace did there.
And Brittany Mashmeyer, who just turned 18 this January, was actually named the top defenseman in Canada's under-18 championships last year. So a lot of promise in that St. Blue Line core as Carolyn Etier moves over the line on right wing, steps through the Wallace check. Etier trying to protect against the tall defenseman. Gets help from Cunningham. Now poke checked away by Smith. And on through to Batchelor, who gets it free to Sawchuk. Sawchuk with some space, operating one-on-one against Bronson. Now cuts into traffic in the middle and loses the puck to the second defender as Cunningham banks it on ahead to Etier. Etier takes a couple steps over center, chips it deep. Looks a little tired as she stays on the forecheck against Gay. Gay, near side Sawchuk, the bouncing diagonal puck, reaches center ice, but it's taken back by Piper. Piper knifing along the blue line, slaps it behind the net as Parsons gets together with Gay in the near corner. Parsons wins the puck free as App set up in front. There's Piper with a redirect save by Gookie and paddle down, and Annie Gay lifts it to the blue line and beyond.
As I said earlier, St. Lawrence doing a good job of getting all 5 of their players back in the D zone to help out the goalie. One thing they need to be careful of is causing a screen themselves, making it a little hard on Gookie.
Parsons in front, took the pass from Piper off the skate, and it rolled in on Gookie, who clamped it. So another draw in the St. Anne is that top Dartmouth line. A little tweak from earlier in the year. Earlier in the year was Piper in the middle, and now she's out playing on the wing with Parsons at the center position.
Wonder if that's due to Piper's injury, if it's hard to take face-offs.
Talking to Mark Hudak, he said he had pretty much a no-lose situation. He feels like they're both very good natural centers, and Parsons had time to really play the middle when Piper was injured, so maybe he just doesn't want to break up the rhythm that she's in. But you're right. I mean, we saw that with Harbor. They put Julie Chu on the wing for a couple games when her ankle was worse than it is now. So either way, it's a formidable trio they send out there. As Brittany Mashmeyer deals it up to Sabrina Harback. Harback's pass errant went back to Gookie, who banks it on right wing to Carson Duggan. And Duggan quietly doing what she does in her sophomore season. Had over 20 goals as a freshman and 17 in her second year.
Nice job by Gookie in that pass up the boards. It's so nice to have a goalie that's able to play it. It's really helpful. It's something small, but you really appreciate it as a player.
Far side, it's Cunningham for Dartmouth, matched up with Wallace. Dug free, though, by Etier. Etier to the point to Bronson with a bouncing puck. Never settled down for the sophomore defenseman, and so Dartmouth will reset as we come up on the final minute of play here in the first period. Big Green with a 2-1 lead, pressing for more as Cunningham skates down low. Cunningham centers it in front. It bounces off a stick. The follow-up by Bronson is blocked by the legs of Connors. Now a wrist shot by Ruda, blockered away by Gookian as Crystal Connors again gathers the follow and slingshots her own net, skating forward through center. Left wing side to Dominico. Dominico with the dump down. Connors gets a touch. Bronson contesting for it, as is Etier. The rolling puck to the near side, to the far side circle, and now it's Ruda with 34 seconds sending on ahead. You'll hear from both head coaches in the first intermission, Paul Flanagan and Mark Hudak, as Jillian Apps pursues an offensive ice. 20 seconds to go in the period. Pushed up the line, though, to Dominico. A wrist shot sticked aside by Clemens. Meredith Batchelor scoops up the loose puck, finds Piper, hands off to Parsons. 12 seconds on ahead. Apps had to go through her stick. Taken back by Grills, who rotates it to Batchelor. Batchelor dumps it down. And as Clemens stops it behind her cage, there's only 3 seconds on the clock. That should just about do it for the opening period of play. And St. Lawrence, which struck early, then had to withstand a furious storm from the Dartmouth attack. And Harbeck for the Saints, Etier and Bowman for the Big Green. It's Dartmouth 2 and St. Lawrence 1 after 1. Thoughts on those first 20 minutes?
Well, I think both teams came out strong. Obviously, Dartmouth gained some momentum off those 2 power play opportunities, getting a lot of shots to net. They did a great job of capitalizing on the chances they had, with Shannon Bowman finishing the excellent pass from Katie Weatherston, and also Carolyn Etier had the great shot to the far blocker side. I think St. Lawrence came out very strong, and I think that if they can get back to sort of they got in a little bit of a rhythm there, dumping the puck, and they're so good off their forecheck, as I said earlier, and so efficient with it that I think if they can just keep it simple, it's so difficult with these Dartmouth forwards. They're so dangerous, but if they can limit their high turnovers and get the puck deep, I think that it's going to turn out to be a very close game all the way through.
So, Dartmouth 2 and St. Lawrence 1 after 1, as promised. Paul Flanagan and Mark Hudak caught up with both head coaches earlier this week, so we'll let them take over for the next 15 minutes. My guest is St. Lawrence head coach Paul Flanagan. Saints 19-5-2 overall, 11-3 in the ECAC Hockey League, unbeaten in their last 10. And, Coach, let's start with that. Your team had a very difficult front-side schedule, but you've gotten hot as of late. What have been the keys to this recent good stretch?
Well, I think there's a combination of factors. I think that getting everybody in the lineup, we've had at various times with some departures, whether it was injury, sickness, some kids gone with, Team Canada for, whether it's U22 or Annie Gay gone for the Four Nations Cup back in November. Just getting everybody together, and I think having a consistent lineup and getting that consistent lineup to play, consistently, I guess, game in and game out. And we were, I think, in a mode where maybe we got ahead of ourselves early on, where we had that tough stretch of games and didn't pay enough attention to detail certain nights, and we didn't have a good night. So I think consistent lineup and playing pretty solid from start to finish each and every night has helped us, and so I think that with those factors combined have gotten us where we are now, and we know heading into this weekend that all that's good, but we got a long way to go.
At the same time, even though you've had sort of to mix and match for a bit here, in the end result, not too bad. You're kind of right in contention for the conference title, right in contention for home ice in the NCAAs, if we dare look that far ahead. And looking at your results, got 6 players at a point per game, so the balance seems to be there. I guess how happy are you with the rotation that you have managed to establish at this point?
Well, it's been good because, as I mentioned, when kids are gone, you have to ask somebody else to step in and play a role maybe they're not familiar with. I know we had BC and Northeastern early January, and some kids got a chance to be on the power play or a little more time at kills, and certain defensemen upped their minutes per game just because we're -2. So I think you're asking kids to do more, and you hope in the long run that that's going to make you a better team, particularly if you are hit with an injury or if someone is sick on a particular night or weekend. So I think we feel pretty comfortable now as a group, and I think that's important. And I think we understand the task at hand, and we never try to get ahead of ourselves, and certainly we're aiming for to try to secure home ice. That's always our primary goal at the beginning of the year. Get home ice, and then see what you can do from there. And try to move up the ladder. And this weekend, obviously, it'll be a great opportunity for us with 2 teams that we're just behind, and certainly they're great teams. But we feel that if we can play well and play a solid 60 minutes and have our key players really step to the forefront, that we're going to be in a good situation, good battle this weekend.
Let's talk a little bit more about Annie Gay, since you mentioned her, and we had a chance to talk with her earlier this week. She certainly did it all last year as a sophomore, All-American, 34 points, and she's picked up right where she left off. What are some of the biggest differences in the Annie Gay that you coach now versus the one that first got to St. Lawrence?
Well, I think she's been more consistent in all aspects of her game. There might be a night a year ago where, she had 4 points. Maybe she had 2 and 2 because she's got a great shot from the point, and and on paper that's a great night. But maybe she made 3 or 4 bad pinches and gave the other team a couple odd man rushes, whatever. I think that now she's understanding and a lot better in terms of when to take that chance offensively and when to just drop off and be a little more conservative on the blue line, because she's got a lot of ability and she can really go with it. And I think it's just a matter of experience. picking and choosing your spots, whether it be offensively or defensively, and just, and I think the other thing, too, is that, she's quietly become, a real good leader for us, not just in her play, but I think the way she carries herself out there. And when she's on the bench, she talks it up pretty well. She's talking the game, and she's become pretty vocal in the locker room. So, those things typically come with experience, but it's something I think that's been evolving, and she's really kicking that aspect of her game into high gear now.
Let's talk a little bit about this weekend. Always a weekend that's circled on the calendar anytime your squad and Harvard and Dartmouth are all mixed up in the same group of matchups. So you had a chance to look at them way back in the beginning of November, came up short against the Big Green, got the win against the Crimson. What are some of the keys to going on the road in round 2 here and having some success?
Well, I think that, we're probably going to approach this very similar to the first go-around with these two teams. We knew, prior to that weekend that we were, going to see two, not only very talented but very explosive teams, and just, they play a high-tempo game, which we try to. We try to open things up if we can, and I always categorize Katie's team at Harvard as just high energy. They really come at you, and they throw everything at you. I love the way her teams play. So, we're expecting that. We had a great game in Canton against them. We came out on the winning edge there. I think it was 4-2 that night. But, it was a very good game, and probably, a break here or there could have gone either way. And I really felt with Dartmouth the same thing. I mean, a talented team that really comes at you. And that was a very good game. I think they scored in the third period to break a 2-2 tie. So, I think traditionally we've played, we've had great games against both these clubs, and our expectation is it's going to be a playoff type atmosphere when the kids hit the ice. It's not the playoffs yet in terms of, the reporters and in the schedule and everything, but I think in terms of once the puck is dropped, these kids understand that, there's a lot on the line, this game late in January. So both nights, I think, are going to be playoff-type games. And so I expect, and Clarkson included, all 4 teams to really pick it up and step it up in all areas this weekend.
My guest is Dartmouth head coach Mark Hudak. Big Green 15-4-2 on the season and atop the ECAC Hockey League at 12-1-1. And coach, it's been a busy month for your team. Let's start with the most recent game. You finally got everyone back in the lineup, and it paid immediate dividends. 4-2 win against the Quality New Hampshire club. Tell me a bit about the game and sort of the keys to having everyone back on the same page right away.
Well, it was certainly great to have all 21, dressed and on the bench and ready to play for the first time. I think actually it was the first time we had all 21 since we played St. Lawrence earlier in the year. So, I think that brings a lot to the team. It's a group this year that feels really good about being a team, and I think having, everybody dressed, everybody back, I think they felt like they were going out on the ice with all their guns blazing, and certainly kind of started out that way. Had a great first and second period, a little bit of a lull in the third, and but again, I think it's tough going into the third period. You're up 4-0, and to really keep up that intensity again. But we settled down, near the end of the game there, and did a nice job.
Notice one thing from the box score that kind of follows up on a question I asked you a couple of weeks ago is you got Sherry Piper back, and you were faced with the dilemma of who gets to play center and who doesn't. Now, in the box score, she's listed as playing on the wing with absent Parsons. Did you like what you saw with that setup, or might we see her back in the middle at some point?
No, I kind of liked it. Giving Sarah, some time to play center while Sherry was out on a couple of different lines, I think really helped her out, and she's doing a great job in there. And the other thing is, when we talk about our centers, generally we're talking about, or I certainly look at it as, their defensive responsibilities and capabilities in the zone. And regardless of whether it's Sarah that gets back first, I know that I've got one of three people that's back there first, and they can do a great job, and they're pretty interchangeable.
Looking at your schedule, it's been a very difficult run, and you actually probably had a shorter break than most teams did. You played that Harvard game right before the break on the 15th, and then you were actually playing as soon as December 31st, and there's been a lot of top 10 teams in there. Are you and you had some injuries in there as well. Are you concerned at all the team is a little bit tired at this point?
Well, it's a really good question, and I think we are a little bit. Really going all the way back to the UNH game on December 10th. We've just had a heck of a schedule here, and it's you have to emotionally get up for every game and every weekend, and there's just no lull in there. So I think it's not so much that I worry or I'm too concerned about the physical side of it. I think we're in great shape right now, and especially having everybody back. But I do think it takes a toll on the team emotionally, and we've tried to address that with doing some different things during the week in practice, shortening up some stuff, maybe taking a little bit of time away from the weight room, and talking with the kids about it, and saying, hey, we realize it, we understand it, and here's maybe how we can try to address it.
I want to rewind the clock to a couple of weeks ago. I talked to you right before the Harvard game. That game wound up being a 2-2 tie, and then you wound up coming down the next day and being the latest team that I guess Connecticut tripped in the top 10. So tell me a bit about the impressions from that weekend. First off, how you felt you matched up against Harvard in their rink, and then sort of things you hope your players learned from the Connecticut experience.
Yeah, I think a couple of things in there. Going to a Harvard game, another very, very good team. You're playing for an Ivy championship. You're playing for the lead in the ECACs. There's a lot of emotion that goes into that game, and to be completely honest with you, I thought we were a little bit too emotionally high going into the game. And it took us a little while to settle down, but it was a great game. Went into overtime, and I thought it was a pretty even matchup for the most part. You kind of come out of that game, you got to get back on the bus, travel, for the second time that day, travel to UConn, and get up and have a very quick turnaround to play at 2 o'clock the next day. And I think we went into that game a little emotionally drained. So it was kind of a tale of two cities there. We're emotionally high for one game, emotionally low for the next one. But I think we do learn a lot from that, because as we said to the team, this is what the ECACs are like at the end of the year. You might have that late game the day before, and then you've got to play early the next day, and we've got to learn from it. And I think we did. And I'll tell you what, UConn's a good team. They did a great job, and then I think the next week they went out and tied Mercyhurst. So I don't think there's any fluke in there. I think that when you play teams like UConn, who are good, you've got to have your A game if you want to win.
And it would seem that there's another weekend coming up where you're going to have your A game, and that's against the Clarkson-St. Lawrence pairing, which has been very difficult all season long. And I do want to focus on the Saturday game, because that is our game. Obviously, another great rivalry has been with St. Lawrence. You were able to go into their barn back in November and come out with the one-goal victory. Some impressions about the Saints from that matchup, and keys to getting the sweep against them this weekend.
Well, certainly have to have a good game against Clarkson on Friday night, and I think that's important for us going into Saturday as well. So got to take care of business on Friday night, and really play well. And I think going into the St. Lawrence game, looking at the two teams, I think we're pretty evenly matched. We both have some depth. They've got some strong D back there, and we're going to have to try to do some things to get them a little bit off their game, try to keep the puck away from them as much as possible. And we're going to have to put a lot of pressure on them in their D zone. They're a very offensive team, and we're certainly not going to want to let them spend much time in our end of the ice.
Thoughts of Paul Flanagan and Mark Hudak, and Mark Hudak's troops have done a pretty good job of what he said there at the end about not letting St. Lawrence spend a ton of time in the Dartmouth defensive zone. And Hudak's troops, after falling behind 1-0 early in the first period on Sabrina Harbeck's 20th goal, 6.5 in from Chelsea Grills, picked up two of their own. First, a great wrist shot by Caroline Etier, skated it end-to-end, wristed it high to the far side from Sarah Noonan at 9:53. And then just 48 seconds later, on a 2-on-1 created by Maggie Kennedy, it was Katie Weatherson dishing across to Shannon Bowman for Bowman, her seventh. At 10:41, it was 2-1 Dartmouth, but then St. Lawrence actually had to weather a 5-on-3 from the Big Green later in that period and escaped with just that one-goal deficit. Dartmouth officially with 14 shots to the Saints 7, as Ryan Schultz, Tiffany Haig on hand. And so, Tiffany, let me ask you from the St. Lawrence perspective, they had a very taxing game last night against Harvard. They needed till the final minute of regulation, and you played Harvard, so you know kind of the pace of game that entails. They come out in the first period. They looked a little bit slow at times relative to Dartmouth. What did they do to sort of get the shot totals up and get back into this one?
Well, I think always after you come back from a big game, obviously playing Harvard last night, they just sort of need to take that first period, use it to get their legs moving. And as I said before, I think they just need to keep it simple. I think if they, work to their strengths, make smart decisions, dump the puck, go after it on their forecheck, and get the puck to the net. I think if they can do that, they'll be very effective. And again, it's tough to turn around and play a game against Dartmouth after playing a team like Harvard. The Harvard-Dartmouth combination is really tough. But I think that if any team can do it, obviously it's the Saints, and I think they just need to use that first period, get their feet under them, and try and pick up momentum as the game goes along here.
And to be fair to Dartmouth, they did not have an easy time of it last night. Clarkson is a quality, hard-working club as well these days. Has been in the top 10 at times, and that was a 2-1 game in the third period as well before the Big Green separated a bit for the 4-1 victories. Here comes Piper with a drop pass to Parsons. Parsons with a wrist shot, and she rockets it wide as a top Dartmouth unit with a good chance early here in the first half minute of period number 2. Apps backhanding, looking for Piper, but it went through her stick, and the Canadian gold medalist 2 times over will pick it up down behind the net of Megan Gukian. Piper leaving now for Katie Weatherston. Weatherston through her legs neatly to Shannon Bowman. Bowman outside the face-off circle, hacked it toward goal, but taken there by Brittany Smith. And Smith, short distance pass to Mariana Locke, and the Brasher Falls sophomore dips it deep to the Dartmouth end as Clemens stops for Sarah Nuno.
Dartmouth doing a good job on their breakout with that last unit, Piper's unit out there breaking out clean. And again, you see Sarah Nuno moving the puck up quickly. I think that's a key for Dartmouth, is to get the puck to their talented forwards as quickly as possible, get it moving down the ice. They have such speed up front.
Grills, high slot, snaps one wide of the mark. Chelsea Grills missed all of last year with a serious injury. As Andy Gay with a screen in front charges one wide.
Andy Gay has a rocket from the point there.
No question, 7 goals, averaging a point per game in her junior season, although you'll hear from Annie in the second intermission. Talk to Paul Flanagan about her development. He said the biggest difference between her this year and last year is that last year she might have come up with, kind of a 2-goal, 2-assist game, but then make some ill-advised pinches and create chances for the opposition, whereas this year she's making the good decisions defensively and still getting her points at the offensive end.
Absolutely. I mean, I think in the game I've seen today, she's made a lot of good, smart, solid plays, and I think that's really important for a defenseman. Defensemen can get caught up in trying to get points, trying to rush the puck, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're not getting scored on, and I think Annie Gay is doing a great job of just playing within her game, using her strength and her shot, and, leading her team offensively by not giving up, those odd man rushes and not giving up any chances.
And there's a premium on that this year. I mean, last year she had the luxury of those 3 seniors, Kate Michael, Lori Ross, Tracy Muzzerall back there to cover up some of those mistakes. All 3 of those players very strong, defensive-minded defensemen, whereas this year she's one of the veterans and looked to for leadership and guiding the Mashmeyers and Smiths of the world as they get comfortable. So having the big year coming off an All-American season as Batchelor blasts away from up high. Bouncing puck gathered by Batchelor, and here comes Lisa Batchelor. Took it away from Meredith Batchelor. And Batchelor ridden down between the circles by Katie Gray, taken by Shannon Bowman for the Big Green. And Bowman, who authored the difference-making goal thus far, moves through center with Katie Weatherston. They crisscross, so they hit the St. Lawrence line. A wrist shot by Bowman did not go through. Went off the legs of Abby Bullard. And Bullard losing behind the net to Katie Weatherston. Weatherston on the backhand, knifes her way out in front. Pinballing down low, finally gathered by Crystal Connors. And Connors scales it high off the glass to center.
Bowman's been coming on for the Big Green as of late. I believe when Sherry Piper was out with the injury to her knee, Bowman took over at center with Parsons and Apps, is my understanding. And really, she seems to be playing with a lot of confidence right now, making good decisions and moving the puck quickly and smartly.
Headman pass through center. It's interesting to see Bowman and Weatherston, very similar style players from my untrained eyes out there together, but some good chemistry between those two as Apps moved away. Going to get a whistle here, and with 3.5 gone in the second, still 2-1 Big Green.
Absolutely. Like you said, they both play very similar styles, Katie Weatherston and Shannon Bowman, both small and quick with excellent hands and good vision. So I think that maybe that allows them to read off of each other and play off of one another very well. As they play such similar styles, they kind of know what to expect.
Both players chased from the draw, so Harbeck and Parsons will have to watch Piper and Grills go at it in the dot. Chip to the wall. Brittany Smith got the first touch, and now it's controlled by Harbeck on right wing. Nice move to get through one defender. Harbeck, angle, trying to throw it in front. It caught Sarah Newnham instead, and she'll have to wrap it behind the goal as Parsons lifts the stick of Chelsea Grills.
Nice work by Grills in the corner there, knocking down Parsons and getting control of that puck.
Go ahead.
Back to the play before. Nice job by Newnham to lay down in front of that pass, as Harbeck's so dangerous and can find her open player.
Apps drew it to the front, and Gukian bobbled it. Good idea by Apps. Piper went hard into the back wall, climbs back to her feet as Julia Bronson picks it up in her own end. You referenced Grill's work in the corner. That is the aspect of her game that Paul Flanagan kind of singled out as being underrated. Certainly has been a good scorer in her career, but said that they really missed her presence in sort of those 50-50 pucks and grinded out battles along the wall last year. As Carolyn Etier moves through center ice. Etier gets through one defender nicely. Etier with room for the wrist shot, and she scores! Etier with her second end-to-end tally of the day, and it's 3-1 Big Green.
Nice job again by Etier, just having confidence in that shot, putting it on net. I'm sure that's one that Gukian's going to want back as it went through her 5-hole, but good job by Etier there, using the St. Lawrence defender as a screen and getting that through.
Well, that was clearly the screen coming into play. Gukian a bit late in closing things out, but on a day when we've got a number of existing Olympians and potential future Olympians in attendance. How about Carolyn Etier? 2 end-to-end rushes, one high to the blocker side, and then there through the 5-hole, picks up a multi-goal game in a big game once again, and Dartmouth with a 3-1 lead here.
Mark Hudak has to be happy in seeing the production of his other players. I believe at the beginning of the season he was getting a lot from his first line, Jillian Apps, Sherry Piper, but they were the only goal scorers. It's nice to see them get some support, I'm sure, for Dartmouth with some of their other lines and stepping up and putting the puck in the net.
You look at Etier, who's gotten to 10 goals, and year in, year out, she's usually been good for about 10 goals, but in this particular season, as you referenced, it took her about 2 months to get going, and really it started when the injuries cropped up. She really picked up her pace, had 7 goals in a 6-game stretch at one point, and now with 2 today in a big contest, as we referenced at the outset. If Dartmouth can take 2 points here, they will be 5 points clear of the nearest competitor in the conference with a month to play, and with no games left against Harvard or St. Lawrence, the 2 teams closest to them in the standings. It would be very tough to imagine a scenario where the Big Green would surrender the ability to host the ECHC Championship.
Absolutely. It's a great spot for Dartmouth to be in. And Etier, as we said earlier, I think she's traditionally been a playoff type of player, stepping up in the last half of the season. So it's nice for the Big Green to see.
Face off to the left of Gukian. Bowman kicks it out. Cobb on the swing. The one touch intercepted nicely by Connor. She might have a chance. Dominico was ahead of her, but they were not on the same page. Now they are, though. As Dominico from the circle. There's a penalty coming up to Dartmouth as Connors was taken off her skates. And as the Big Green touch up, we'll see Dartmouth to the box for the first time today. Crystal Connors, a bit slow, climbing back to her feet, but she drew the call on Cobb for tripping. And so St. Lawrence, which this year has been very effective 5-on-4, they are at 24%. Will go up against that 90+% Dartmouth penalty kill.
Yeah, Dartmouth not only boasting an excellent power play, but an excellent penalty kill as well. But this is big for St. Lawrence. We'll see if they can't get something going here, get some shots on Clemis, and really put some pressure on her.
Grills to take the draw, but it's controlled by the Big Green. Katie Gray high off the glass, knocked down, though, by Kerry Wallace. Pressure applied by Cunningham along the point, taken by Connors for the wrist shot that was blocked by the stick of Batchelor. And now it's Weatherston. Weatherston trying to hammer it up the center of the ice and got it through Kerry Wallace's stick and down. Cunningham chasing after Brittany Smith. Good work by Cunningham. She forces the turnover shorthanded. Reinforcement comes from Katie Weatherston. Weatherston with space. Look out. She goes to the front. Wrist shot, and she forks it just wide.
Dartmouth obviously gaining momentum. Nice job by the freshman Jenna Cunningham getting down there and getting in the face of those St. Lawrence defenders, kind of breaking up their power play breakout. That's always tough.
Cunningham is all tied up with Brittany Smith's stick. They finally disentangle as here's Connors on the right wing side with a minute 15 to go on the St. power play. Bodied down by Katie Gray as she moved in along the wall. Far side now it's Grills. Grills trying to set up, feeds Dominico behind the cage. Dominico to Connors. Connors.
Interesting unit out here.
Yeah, we don't see Harbeck out here just yet.
No Harbeck, no Annie Gay for St. Lawrence. I'm a little bit surprised that Coach Flanagan didn't lead with those two.
So the puck out of play. We did see Crystal Connors. And here's a player that no one ever talks about on St. Lawrence. And all she does is produce. And you look at the stat sheet this year, who's number 2 on the Saints in scoring? It's Crystal Connors.
Yeah, she's an extremely good skater. She's quick. She's had the puck a lot. Makes nice decisions with the puck, and obviously drew that penalty to put SLU on the power play.
Now Harbeck is out there with Gay. So pretty good balance for St. Lawrence on its 2 units.
All right, we'll see what kind of look that they come out with this time. I'd imagine that they want Annie Gay up top taking that big shot.
That's what they're trying to set up. The one-timer does not go through as Etier took it off the skates with 45 seconds to go on the man advantage. Down low, it's Carson Duggan. Duggan, far side to Harbeck. Harbeck, playmaking up top to Gay. Gay with a drive. Caught off the shoulder of Clemens, I believe, and went behind the net. Now Harbeck again in the far circle. Leaving for Mariana Locke. Locke is dangerous on the power play. Got to keep an eye on her as Bullard near circle blasts away. Rotating over for another shot block was Etier. And now it's Mariana Locke, goal line extended near side. Another penalty coming up to the big green. Annie Gay, far side to Harbeck. Harbeck waiting for the extra skater. Here comes Chelsea Grills driving to the front. Gay has room up top, swings far side Harbeck. Harbeck hooks to the front. One-timer by Grills, and it's kicked out by Clemens. Still St. Lawrence has possession. Another shot taken. Etier touches up. Call is going to be made, and St. Lawrence right back to the 5-on-4.
Argument could be made that St. Lawrence maybe should have let Dartmouth touch up there so they could go on the 5-on-3, but with only 15 seconds left, I think it was a good decision by Annie Gay to keep the puck and put some shots on Clemens, see what they can get going.
So this time it's going to be Julia Bronson for 2. They've actually put that penalty on the St. Lawrence side, but that's incorrect because Bronson's in the box, and so Harbeck's going to stay out there now. Opposite Shannon Bowman. Harbeck wins the draw. Reaching for it was Kennedy, but held by Bullard near side. Abby Bullard down low to Duggan. Duggan far side to Harbeck, and Harbeck rotates it back to the sophomore. Katie Gray gets in the way and wraps it around, but Bullard seals off the near side wall. Now Harbeck far corner. Up top, Gay. Right back to number 96 in red. Back to Gay for the one-timer, and Clemens. That might have been tipped by Locke, but it went right into the equipment for a save.
Great shot again by Gay. You see Harbeck just trying to set it up for Annie Gay to tee it up. And again, I don't think St. Lawrence has really tested Carly Clemens too much. It'd be nice if they could get some traffic to the front of the net. That time they had Locke, and I believe Domenico was in front of the net as well, but Clemens just covered that up right away.
Wallace off the draw win by the Saints. They still have 90 seconds to work with. One thing Clemens has done a nice job with is rebound control. Saints have been predominantly one and done on their shot attempts today, and the only time they had a follow-up was the one that they scored as Harbeck tapped in the loose puck. Connors trying to turn it in front. That was swatted away by Clemens. Thompson contesting for it down low against Crystal Connors. Domenico and Ruta there as well. Grills tips it free for a moment. And now it's Chelsea Grills near the corner with some space. Up to Wallace, but she fumbles the puck. Thompson trying to move short-handed. Wallace was able to recover in the nick of time and gives St. Lawrence a chance to reset as it's tipped over the line by Domenico. But she overskates in turn, and now it's Ruta with plenty of time to clear.
Good recovery there by Wallace. Dartmouth's so aggressive on their penalty kill. They get right out there, run a rotation. I think it's really difficult for teams that aren't used to seeing that, maybe used to seeing more of a passive box. St. Lawrence seems to be struggling with it a little bit. They need to move the puck and just make a little bit quicker decisions when they're facing a rotation.
Parsons and Apps, a very potent offensive shorthanded combo out there right now. And they are wreaking havoc in the neutral zone with 25 seconds on this St. power play. Harbeck finally gets it back into the zone. Now Katie Gray below the end line for the big green. Lobs to the blue line, and Abby Bullard, all 5-3 of her, knocked it down for a moment. But the follow-up clearance by Jillian Epps sends the puck all the way down as Gay comes back to track it. One final rush for the Saints, and they don't seem to be in any hurry here. Down 3-1 as we approach the midway point of the hockey game.
The Saints did a good job of controlling the puck on that power play as it winds down here now. But unfortunately, I don't think they got very many shots on net. Didn't test Clemens as much as I'm sure they would have liked to.
Red line near side, it's Bullard. And offside's going to be the call with a couple of Saints in the zone early, so a face-off back in center ice area.
It's a good crowd on hand today here at Thompson Arena, including the Canadian national team coach who's been spotted, I'm sure, out here watching some of the players for both Dartmouth and St. Lawrence.
Well, it's going to be an interesting contrast. Certainly there's some veterans of Canadian national teams on the Dartmouth side, but you look at Annie Gay, who got a chance to play in that Four Nations Cup opposite you for St. Lawrence, and Sabrina Harbeck, I would imagine, definitely on the radar as well.
Absolutely.
As Batchelor, with a turnover, pushed it to the front. Maybe one move too many there, but Clemens made the save. Far side, it's Wallace golfing it in front, skips up the slot to Brittany Smith. Her shot was blocked by Bowman, and the zone is cleared. Problem for Harbeck. That's an awfully deep depth chart to go through.
Absolutely. A lot of Canadians playing for both of these schools, respectively.
Both coaches doing a nice job of mining north of the border for talent. As is going to get a hand pass here on Jenna Cunningham with 9:26 to go in the second.
Cunningham wanted to take that and run with it.
Well, the Super Bowl's a week away, so trying for the carry, but it's whistled down, so we'll get the draw at center ice as things have settled down a little bit after that St. Lawrence power play. Dartmouth has a 3-1 lead. Etier's been the offensive star with 2 goals off beautiful end-to-end rushes. Sabrina Harbeck has the lone tally for the Saints. It's Dartmouth, Dartmouth's been very clutch this year. You take away that season-opening series at Mercyhurst, a very difficult assignment. Dartmouth's been money against the top teams in the East. Winning a tie against UNH, winning a tie against Harvard, and the win in the first round between these two squads. So with a win today, they would kind of get through pretty clean against the other top teams here in the East.
Absolutely. Dartmouth has really stepped up in their play against the big-time competition, as I think that they always do, and I think it's really important. They have a fairly young roster. They do have a lot of veterans in the returning national team players, but of course they have a very large sophomore class that hasn't been to the Frozen Four yet, as I'm sure they're trying to get to.
Puck play with a high stick, knocked down. It's canceled out. So here's Etier on left wing, content to dump it. Chase, and it's a good point. There's actually 13 freshmen and sophomores on this Dartmouth team among 21 skaters. So even though they got the sterling record, here's Parsons off a turnover. Look out. Parsons fanning on the wrist shot, got it back, and then fumbled it again. Frustrated with herself as she leaves down low for Apps. Apps behind the net to Sherry Piper. Piper up the near side, finds the outlet in Bronson. Wrist shot. Apps was camped out in front. There's a loose puck on the doorstep. Probing was Piper, but she came up empty as Wallace got the clear.
Jillian Apps, so dangerous in front, had 2 St. Lawrence defenders tied up. The puck gets through, and she still gets a stick on it.
Point I was going to make was with 13 freshmen and sophomores, for the players who came back from the Olympics this time around, they've all said it. As Sabrina Harbeck here off a turnover, has a player in front, now turns it toward Duggan. The redirect by Duggan, and it's fought off nicely by the glove of Clemens. As Parsons moves through center, crisscrossing with Apps, and all of a sudden the pace picking up again as Parsons on the backhand, wrapped it in front, but controlled by the stick of Gay and covered by Guki. And my point was just going to be what Apps and Weatherston and Piper have all said to me is they came back, and it's almost like the team was completely different from the one that they left.
Right. Well, in talking to them, obviously they're my classmates, or were my
exactly.
classmates. So it is a very different look team. I mean, they went away for a year and they came back with, almost all new teammates. So I'm sure it's very different for them. And Dartmouth only has, I believe, their true senior class right now. The 07s is only a class of 3, being Meredith Batchelor, Carolyn Etier, and
Nicole Ruda.
Nicole Ruda is actually a junior.
Oh, you're right. Sorry about that.
So maybe it's only 2 of them. So very small senior class. And then the super seniors.
But you're right. It is because of players like yourself who graduated while they were gone. And so for them, it has been a feeling out process. Hear Sherry Piper talk about that a bit in the second intermission. So even though they met a lot of these people through recruiting, didn't get a chance to really get a feel for them as players until this season. As Katie Gray down low wraps it around far side.
I think that's one thing that people forget in looking at this Dartmouth team, because you do see the Piper and Apps and Weatherston and the very experienced players, but outside of those 3, the only members of this team to make it to a Frozen Four are Ruda, Thompson, Cobb, and then the senior class of Meredith Batchelor and Carolyn Etier. So that's only a handful of players that have actually been to the Frozen Four, or ECACs for that matter.
Set down low. Kukian plays it aside, so icing cancel out with 6:15 to play in the second. Carolyn Etier with the pair. And Shannon Bowman with a goal as well for Dartmouth as Cobb caught an edge at center. It's taken by Connors. Sabrina Harbeck actually opened the scoring in this game at the 6-minute mark of the first, following up a Chelsea Grill's wrister. We got a penalty here. Look out. Katie Weatherston shaken up on the far side, and the linesman was actually in the middle of that contact as well.
Weatherston went down hard. I'm not sure. It looks as if she's holding her wrist. I know that she had a bit of a wrist injury earlier in the season. You hope that she didn't re-injure that or compound that in any way.
Well, the penalty is going to be on Dominico, but in some ways that contact caused as much by the linesman being in the wrong spot as those players got together along that blue stripe and went down. There was an extra body in there. Weatherston stays down on the ice and certainly hope for the best there. As you referenced, she was bothered by a wrist injury, and that she also fell into the category of players where she was not going to be 100% the rest of the way, but basically was told she's not going to make it any worse by playing. And now she pops back up to her feet. So hopefully good news for Dartmouth that she's skating around under her own power and Sherry Piper coming over to confer.
Absolutely. I'm not even sure I would have called that a penalty.
She's not even going to miss a shift. Looks like she took her stick, and she's about ready. She's going to come off at least to start the power play, but looks ready to go.
Dartmouth again reloading with their 5 forwards on the PP.
Now Bowman's going to come out. Late substitution, I believe, is going to be denied, so Ruta's going to have to start this a 5-some on the power play. The draw is inside the offensive zone, but not in the circle, as you can see. All sorts of confusion here. Finally, I think we're about ready to go, with Dominico in the box for 2, and once again, St. Lawrence staring at a critical juncture of this game. They're down 3-1.
Nice face-off there by Jenna Cunningham, who doesn't normally take face-offs.
Apps fans on the one-timer. Down low.
Sarah Parsons having a little trouble controlling the puck.
And Weatherston is out there, so she's fine, it looks like now. Weatherston turns it in front. There was Bowman. Piper skates over to hold the line. Now down low to Weatherston.
Nice hustle by Piper.
And Parsons outside the near ring now. Now to Weatherston, beats a defender off the wall. Huge drive. Shoulder save Cookie, and a loose puck gathered in the nick of time by Annie Gay.
Weatherston's wrist seems to be feeling fine after firing off that shot.
But here's Harbeck shorthanded, one-on-one against Apps. Harbeck, wrist shot, and Clemens makes the pad stop.
As we mentioned earlier, it's so tough for St. Lawrence PKers just because you don't want to overcommit to any one player as they're so talented on this Dartmouth squad, but at the same time, you don't want to lay off them and give them too much time. You have to try and find a little bit of happy medium. I think that St. Lawrence could afford to be a little bit more aggressive, being that they're down 3-1 on this penalty kill.
Well, it's the second time this period that we've seen Katie Weatherston get off the wall with plenty of space, and anyone who's seen her play knows she's got, bad wrist or not, she's got moves on top of moves, and not a good situation for the defender. That time using the slap shot, and Gukian did just enough to make the save. And then Clemens stopping Harbeck at the other end. So 1:01 to go in the Dominico Minor. It's still 3-1 Big Green. Both teams have changed up specialty teams units, so it's Ruta to take the draw now opposite Courtney Sawchuk, it looks like.
Senior Meredith Batchelor, the lone defender out there for Dartmouth.
Far side, Cunningham lobbing in, knocked away by Gukian, gathered by Kerry Wallace, wound around near side. Etier has plenty of time to come over and collect. Now it's Maggie Kennedy, body to the ice penalty coming up to Courtney Sawchuk. And as Sawchuk touches up, St. Lawrence is going to face the same predicament they did late in the first. 5-on-3 for the Big Green for 44 seconds. And here comes the Big 5.
44 seconds is a long 5-on-3 to kill. I think that was a tough call, maybe a little bit of frustration there, but at the same time, it didn't look like anything too vicious. Maggie Kennedy maybe
got her
lost
back turned at the right time. Well, she got her back turned at the right time, but yeah, I agree. And Chelsea Grills is coming over to protest that. And, in a game that promises to be physical, that was more of a bump than a hit.
Yeah, that's a bit of a tough call there.
So Sawchuk and Dominico conferring in the penalty box, but it's 5-on-3. And Weatherston does a nice job of massaging the draw free to Jillian Apps. All kinds of room, as you'd expect. Parsons on the one touch to Piper on the swing, but that pass was saucered on a bounce to Apps, and she'll have to regather. Down low, Bowman, fans on her pass attempt. Pressure applied by Annie Gay, who extends the box. Gay then takes Bowman into the wall. That's a huge mistake right there. And as Grills taps it out of the zone, she knows that the All-American defenseman just took another penalty, and so it's going to be the full 5-on-3 now.
Yeah, this just turned into a really bad situation for St. Lawrence as they're losing their best defender right now to the penalty box. Obviously, a 5-on-3 is tough anytime, let alone when you have 1:30 plus to kill of it.
So Annie Gay with a mistake there. I mean, she did a good job to sort of pressure Bowman at first, but didn't really have a great advantage. There wasn't a need to go chasing after that particular puck, and took Bowman hard to the wall. And so 5-on-3, there are 3 Saints all huddled together in the penalty box, and one of them is their number 1 defenseman. Go ahead.
Quite a large size discrepancy there, too, between Bowman and Gay. I think she just got a little over-aggressive there and took Bowman out a little harder than she anticipated.
Dartmouth tightens up the perimeter. Piper, Apps playing catch up top. They're trying to set up a one-timer. Now Apps trying to go back door. Tipped away by Grills. Diving after it was Grills, and Piper's still going to have time to recover along the blue line near side. Piper steps in, swings to Apps. One-timer was tipped by Weatherston over the crossbar. Parsons recollects, and actually calls being made for the puck being played by a high stick. And Weatherston's not so sure about that, but it's going to move the draw out of the zone, so a good break for the Saints.
Great break for the Saints as now the big five for Dartmouth are getting off the ice. It could give the Saints a little chance to regroup here.
Dominico's penalty has expired, but it's still 5-on-3 for 1:08 with 3:47 showing on the second period clock, and Dartmouth up 3-1. But Harbeck has an offensive zone draw here, opposite Ruda. Tipped free by the big green, and here comes Maggie Kennedy with speed on right wing. Kennedy, the Connecticut native, crosses into offensive real estate, throws it in front. A nice redirect by Cunningham, and a better save by Kukian as it was going behind her, reaching back with a glove.
It was a great tip by Cunningham there, laying down to get her stick on the puck there. And again, Kukian coming up with a big save. She seems to be making the big saves when she needs to, so hopefully that can give her teammates a little bit of inspiration, kill off this 5-on-3.
Dartmouth, though, wins another draw. Did a nice job in the circle here, especially on this recent power play as Etier slings it down low to Kennedy. Errant pass, though, went right to Harbeck, and Harbeck clears all the way down.
Good decision by Harbeck there to just get it down. Clemens out to play the puck.
Harbeck has to conserve a little bit of energy. She's going to see a lot of time here, one would figure, as Kennedy hits the line. The lines up a drive, but Brittany Smith was right in the way of that, so took it off the pads and now bounces it beyond the blue line. Bronson at center ice. Pressure being applied by Harbeck. Leaves now for Ruda, but the pass too far intended for Etier, and it's sent all the way down once again. So just as we saw in the first period, when the Saints seem to have their backs up against the wall in the PK, and they do some pretty good work. Oh, big collision at center. Weatherston and Dominico, and Weatherston is going to get hit with a penalty here, and she doesn't much like the call. But the call for interference is going to make things 4-on-3 as the penalty box area gets crowded again.
Yeah, Weatherston arguing that call, but there's not much you can do about that one. That was directly open ice. She just got her stick up a little bit. Again, not a very hard hit, but enough to interfere with the St. Lawrence player. And you would have to think that the ref just put 3 St. Lawrence players in the box. They're going to look for any opportunity to get back at Dartmouth a little bit.
There's a conference going on as Mark Hudak is talking to the official. I think the other byproduct of that is when you have 3 consecutive penalties on one team in a short span of time, the least always tends to shorten a little bit going the other way. That's what you tend to see. So,
absolutely.
If we're skating 5-on-5, maybe that's no harm, no foul. But with Dartmouth skating 5-on-3, they get the call, and so Weatherston goes off for 2. And it's 4-on-3. Still lots of space as Piper blasts away, misses the far post. The puck is actually stalled on the back of the netting, and there's the whistle.
Shot by Piper from our angle up here. It looked like Kukian was maybe a little bit too far to her left. Piper saw that low corner, just missed wide.
Been a very choppy power play. A lot of whistles, a lot of extra calls, a lot of substitutions.
Yeah, the flow of the game in this second period has really slowed down with not only the power plays and penalty kills, but a lot of discrepancies on the face-off. Again, we see Sarah Parsons getting kicked out of this one, and some late changes by both teams.
And Apps wins it cleanly, but it goes right through Piper. And now Sawchuk is out of the box, so we're actually even up. It's 4-on-4 for 43 seconds. St. Lawrence has escaped the 5-on-3 sequence. They're actually going to have a minute of power play time as Apps launches a wrist shot from long range that sails wide. Karam is collected by Dominico. She has Locke up in the neutral zone. Apps comes back, collides with her teammate Batchelor. They both go down. Numbers for the Saints. Wallace trying to go backdoor to Dominico, maybe one pass too many. So a very strange sequence there. And Piper is hurt. Piper's leg, she had a leg injury earlier in the year, and she is limping badly now. And there's going to be a penalty to boot for holding. So, now, Tiffany, let's try to sort out all the damage here because Apps is going to get 2 minutes for a penalty.
Yeah, that was a very odd sequence with Jillian Apps and Meredith Batchelor running into each other at the blue line. From our view up here, see Jillian Apps' face. So hopefully she's not hurt. Looks like she had a little grimace, and Meredith Batchelor was slow to get up. At the same time, I don't know where Piper got hurt, but she was obviously limping and could barely get off the ice. So you hope that it's nothing serious or nothing serious on top of an already serious injury.
Right. Well, that looks to be the same kind of injury she had that caused her to miss every game since the Providence game. As a shot by Buller with heavy traffic in front goes wide.
So again, a big opportunity for St. Lawrence. Not only are they on the power play, but you have Katie Weatherston and Jillian Apps, two of the Big Green's most formidable penalty killers, sitting in the box.
Mariana Locke outside the near circle, kicks it out to Bullard. Bullard has a couple of steps in, down low to Harbeck, wanted to touch it to Gay, but fumbled the pass. Now Gay has it. Gay, wrist shot right into the shoulder of Clemens. So I think Piper got injured on that 2-on-1 that was created because Apps and Batchelor collided and both fell down. And she was trying to play both Dominico and Wallace.
Piper's definitely ailing right now. She's right across from us on the corner of the bench with the Dartmouth trainer, Tracy Poro. Looks to be in some serious pain, doubled over, so it'll be interesting to see if she makes a return or not.
Well, she was definitely gritting things out. She climbed back to her feet when the puck was in the zone, but she could barely move. She was literally standing between the circles using her stick as a crutch. And then Apps took the penalty, which almost became beneficial to Dartmouth to get her off. And so now it's actually 5-on-3 for 34 seconds. And what was a big opportunity for Dartmouth becomes a big opportunity for St. Lawrence with just 1:25 showing in a strange second period. Very choppy, as Tiffany alluded to. But St. Lawrence down 3-1 has an opportunity to make this a very different game heading to the third. Kerry Wallace far side playing catch with Annie Gay. Gay down low to Grills. Very tight trio of penalty killers for Dartmouth right now. St. Lawrence trying to find the right shooting angle as Gay swings it far side to Wallace. Wallace with a drive. They score! Kerry Wallace, power play goal, Saints. And it's a one-goal game again. It's 3-2.
That was a huge goal for St. Lawrence coming within the last minute and 30 seconds of the period. Obviously, that's a big momentum shifter. Again, with Weatherston just getting out of the box. Jillian Apps still in the box for the Big Green. Nice shot there by Wallace. I was just going to say that it seemed that St. Lawrence was sort of killing their own penalty there, playing with the puck a little bit, moving it around the perimeter, not getting very many shots, but apparently they made the right decision and picked their time.
We'll see if that was tipped, but I agree with you, and I think they even caught a break on the goal. I mean, they had good traffic in front of Clemens, but that was a shot straight on. The PK had rotated over and just found a seam up high, so not the best concept on the 5-on-3, but it works, and I believe St. Lawrence should still have a power play here. Both penalties came off the board, but there were 12 seconds left on the Weatherston minor. So this should be 5-on-4 to close out the period, and Apps has still not vacated the penalty box. So as Grills comes over to confer.
Now there's another penalty going up on the Dartmouth side, number 3 for Dartmouth, which would be
That would be Sue Schmitz, but I'm guessing that's not on Sue Schmitz because she wasn't out there. Maybe was a bench minor called?
Well, no one's headed to the bench for Dartmouth. Jillian Apps still sitting down there in the penalty box, but...
No, it's just the Apps minor. They're trying to fix the time, actually. I'm not sure why Schmidt's number came out, but there it is. So Apps has 52 seconds to serve, so that will all but...
Big face-off here coming up at center ice. Whoever can control this is going to be big.
Dartmouth's been good on the draw, but Grills wins this one nicely to Connors on the wing. Connors pushes it over the line. Connors steps underneath Newnham. Good strength from Connors. She deals it near side now to Chelsea Grills. Up top to the All-American Gay. Right back to Grills, who skips a pass to Wallace. Good puck movement this time. Gay blasts away. Dominico comes up hobbles. That went right off her right leg.
That's got to hurt. Annie Gay has a rocket, as we said earlier, right off her own player.
Grills playmaking outside the near ring. Shovels to Gay. Massages on through to Wallace. Backdoor to Grills. The one touch to Gay. One-timer's coming. And Dominico tipped it just high.
Nice tip there by Dominico. Good job by Annie Gay to get the shot off quickly.
All of a sudden, St. Lawrence looking a lot better 5-on-4 than they did 5-on-3, even though they scored. 18 seconds in the period as Grills swings it far side. Call's going to be made for a hand pass. That's a good break for Dartmouth. There's only 6 seconds left on the Apps minor, so that'll bring the draw outside the zone.
Absolutely. Big break for Dartmouth as the draw does come outside the zone, making it a little bit tougher for St. Lawrence to set up and get a shot on net.
St. Lawrence has climbed back into this one. It's 3-2, and that should set up, if nothing else, a dramatic third period between these two teams. There's still 16.9 to work with as Harbeck and Parsons will meet in the face-off dot.
St. Lawrence has certainly made up some ground this period on the shots on goal. To start off the period, Dartmouth was outshooting them. St. Lawrence has definitely picked up the pace and benefited from the calls.
Harbeck with a drive, and Clemens made the save. Was kind of looking at her glove as she didn't catch it. That's going to end the period, but Harbeck was able to manufacture one final blast. And so a very strangely paced second period, highlighted by some penalties, some stoppages, and unfortunately another injury to Dartmouth's Sherry Piper. But at the end of 2 periods of play, it's the Big Green 3 and the Saints 2.
Piper looks to be getting escorted off the bench by Dartmouth's third goaltender. not a good sign for the Big Green at all.
They just got her back last week against UNH after she missed extended time, and of course you're going to hear from her in a couple minutes as we chatted this week, but trying to skate off under her own power, but that right leg does not look to be in great shape, and her team 20 minutes away from another big victory. So Dartmouth 3, St. Lawrence 2, as promised, caught up with both Annie Gay and Sherry Piper a couple of days ago, so we'll let them take over for the next 15 minutes. You're listening, as always, to the USCHO Game of the Week. My guest is St. Lawrence junior defenseman and All-American Annie Gay. And Annie, let's talk about your team. Your team has been rolling along really well since a loss to Colgate way back at the end of November. This team 9-0-1. Take me inside the dressing room. What have been sort of the keys to this team getting hot?
Oh, I think we've been sticking together and realizing how much we need to work, during practices, in order to get good performance over the weekend. And I think it's just supporting each other, and that's what's key for us.
Let's talk about your position, defense, which has undergone some changes. When you came to the program, you had a Kate Michael, a Lori Ross, a Tracy Muzzler, a lot of older players who were already there. Now they've moved on, and you have a bunch of freshmen, and you're sort of one of the older players now. How have you helped, a Brittany Smith and a Brittany Mashmeyer get comfortable playing college hockey?
I think it starts with confidence I have in myself. So, just showing them the way and in how I react to certain things. And I think, I certainly look up to those older players when I played with Tracy Muzzerall or other players like that. And so I'm trying to maybe just lead by example for them and just be there for them if they have any questions and worries about opponents, and I don't know, just trying to support them and be there for them.
How far have they come? You have the best perspective. How much different are they right now than they were, say, back in September, October?
Well, I want to see confidence again because I think it's key here, and then they now feel more comfortable with the team, and I don't know, they feel more part of the team like any other freshman, which is a hard step to an adaptation to school and hockey and everything. And I think they just, now that they step in to their routine and everything, I think they got more confident and they play with a lot of confidence again.
One element I'm curious about is that in practice every day, you guys go up against one of the best offenses in the country. You have some of the deepest forward units that are around. How much does that help you personally? How much does it help everyone on the defense that you're trying to stop Sabrina Harbeck and company every single day?
I mean, this is really a good challenge for us, and I think it's the best way to prepare ourselves to any other offense from other teams, and they're definitely really challenging in practice, and I think we just make each other better every day.
As for yourself, you pretty much did it all last year. I mean, you set new St. Lawrence records for points by a defenseman. You were on the All-American team. So when you came back from this offseason, what did you sort of highlight as far as where you wanted to get better?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have get all those records without my teammates, and I wanted to maybe repeat the same thing, but if it wasn't going to happen, it's fine. If it's going to happen, it's fine, as long as the team goes well. The personal records is something else.
Well, you're going just fine right now. You're on about the same pace as last year, and it looks like you're going to go over the goal total as well, talking with St. Lawrence junior defenseman Annie Gay. I'm going to shift gears on you a bit, go to personal background. You are from the province of Quebec, and given how much hockey means to people up there, I doubt it was ever that far from you, but this is a question we ask everyone who comes on the show, which is way back when, how did you first get mixed up in the sport?
Well, I started with guys like many girls I've met, and I don't know, I just got inspired from my brother and my parents, and just help driving me to practice every day, and I just learned to love it and having fun, and since then I've been having fun, and if the fun is not there, I think that's when it's going to be the end.
Well, like your classmate Sabrina Harbeck, you both wound up making that trip from Quebec to St. Lawrence eventually. So tell me a bit about your college process. What was it about, St. Lawrence, the school? What was it about St. Lawrence, the hockey program, which was already very successful, that convinced you that was where you wanted to go?
Well, definitely a good factor was the distance from home, and Sabrina and I never consult each other regarding a decision to go to school. And I think I was really happy once I've made my decision that we finally got to play again, because we played on the Quebec team for the Canada Winter Games. And it was a good reunion, and I think it's like the distance a big factor, but also the history of the program, which has always been really successful.
Well, being from Canada, that has presented you another opportunity, and that is to play in the Team Canada system. I know you've been a part of the under-22 team for a while, but you also kind of graduated up to the senior ranks earlier this season. You had a chance to play in that Four Nations Cup. Tell me a bit about that. What was the feeling, sort of, finally being part of that senior squad and representing the country?
It was certainly a really big thrill for me to be there, and the opportunity I got and the experience I got from playing with all these girls are really experienced and really talented people. And I think I've learned a lot, and I brought it back to my team. And I don't know, I'm really grateful for the experience I got, and I'm hoping in the future that I'll be back there.
Well, you're certainly well on your way to that. If I make you look a little bit further into the future, and specifically maybe a future beyond hockey, what are some of the things that we might see Annie Gay mixed up in away from the sport somewhere down the line?
Away from the sports, I don't know. I haven't looked that far yet, but I don't know. I'm looking up for a good career, and with in psychology maybe. I don't know. I haven't decided that yet, so it's maybe too far to look into. But let's say just settle down and have a family. Say.
My guest is Dartmouth senior forward Sherry Piper. Big Green atop the ECAC Hockey League and playing host to Clarkson and St. Lawrence this weekend. And Sherry, will start with the obvious question, which is you jumped right back into the lineup in a big win over New Hampshire this past weekend. How do you feel? How does your game feel?
Well, last weekend was a bit of a challenge. I think after being off for 6 weeks and dealing with my injury, it was hard to just step back into the lineup, but I'm surrounded by good teammates and good people, and I think they made the transition a lot easier.
Now, you come back, and you were part of the same line that you were part of when you left, but a little bit of a tweak. You were playing on the wing, Sarah Parsons in the middle. Any difference or any nuance to sort of playing the game from that perspective?
Well, the last season I played wing pretty much most of the year, so the transition wasn't as big of a deal, but, I think with my injury, I think it benefits our team to have me on the wing right now rather than struggling to try to play down low in the center position.
Yeah, you referenced last year. We will talk a bit about last year in a few minutes, but one of the things I've been asking some of your teammates who were away with their respective national teams is that this is a team that has undergone a lot of change. A lot of the players that you played with have have graduated. Some of the players have grown up. How much of an adjustment was it for you just kind of coming back and fitting in? I mean, I know the uniform was familiar, but maybe the team itself was not.
Well, it's definitely different. You have 2 years of pretty much freshmen that you need to meet, but I think the transition was made a little easier because I had come back to school in the spring and got a chance to meet our now sophomores as freshmen, and it was nice to get to know them as people before knowing them as hockey players, and I definitely think that helped a lot. But we have 2 groups of great kids that have come in the past couple of years, and for them last year it was a bit of a struggle, but I think it's helped build our character as a team.
Interesting. Obviously, you unfortunately have had a couple injuries in your career. You spent a couple weeks watching this team from the bench or from the crowd. But this is a team that, even despite that, against a tough schedule, put together a very respectable stretch. What do you think were some of the keys to this team handling your absence, handling Katie Weatherson's absence as well as they did?
Well, I think it just shows the depth of our program and the fact that we recruited great people over the years, and it shows the character of our team. It shows the bond that we have, and that we're able to work through any challenges that we've had. And I think in the past, having people in and out of lineups, whether they're traveling with national teams or injuries or whatever else, we've had to deal with it, and it's not as big of a shock as it might be to other programs when they're missing kids.
referenced national programs. Let's talk a bit about last year. Your second go-around with the Olympic team and a second gold medal, so obviously all's well that ends well. Tell me about the second go-around. How was it different from the first?
Just a very different feeling in a sense of I knew my place on the team a lot better this time around. Last experience, I was added 2 weeks before the Olympics to the roster, and this go around I just felt more comfortable as a hockey player and just in my own abilities and my position on the team. So you go into the tournament feeling a little more confident, and the whole experience itself, the first time you're there, you're just trying to take everything all in, and this time you kind of know what to expect and the things you can and can't do while you're there, and so this time around it's just you feel a lot more comfortable in general.
You became part of really the world's dominant line in 2006, along with your Dartmouth teammate Jillian Apps and, of course, Haley Wickenheiser. And obviously a lot of talent there, but we got to see some chemistry on display as well. What were some of the keys to making that trio go above and beyond?
Well, I think we all bring different things to the line, and Jillian Apps, you have a power forward that has phenomenal strength and work ethic, and Haley Wickenheiser obviously is so talented, and I like to look at myself as a playmaker, and, I think we just all complement each other, and we all are willing to work hard. And throughout the year, we got to play a lot together, whether we were playing in international tournaments or we played a lot of midget AAA teams out in Calgary. And I think having the time and putting the time in helps get that chemistry going in a line.
You come back to Dartmouth, certainly an older player than you were the last time you returned from the Olympics. You're wiser as well, I'm sure. What were some of the things you focused on improving for your senior year in college?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just enjoying my last experiences here and just having a positive attitude no matter what. And, now that I'm older and, I've hit the quarter century mark, you start to see life in different ways. And, I'm nearing the end of my academic career, and I'm not going to play hockey forever, so you learn to enjoy the moments as they happen.
You referenced the quarter century mark. Is that something that's brought up by your teammates on occasion?
Definitely almost every day. Our team likes to poke fun at each other and just have a good time, so I definitely get ripped on a little bit for being old and probably the oldest person in the league right now.
Well, you referenced not playing hockey forever, but having said that, you're certainly young enough to go for gold medal number 3, and you're from Ontario. The game's in Vancouver. I'm sure that would be quite a scene. Your thoughts on sort of your future in hockey and maybe some of the plans you might be making away from the sport at this point?
Well, definitely right now a goal for me is to try to compete at the 2010 Olympics, but obviously I have to try to make the team every year and keep working hard, and you never really know where life's going to take you, and family's important to me, and, I'd like to get married and have kids, and, you just got to kind of take things in stride, and, if that happens 5 years from now or next year, you don't really know what's going to be thrown at you. And, I'm finishing my Dartmouth education, and, who knows what career opportunities are going to come up afterwards, and, you really have to plan your whole life and not just look at the short-term gains of going to another Olympic Games.
And the last question is one that I put to Jillian Apps a couple months ago, and that is, I know you played with Tiffany Haig for a number of years, and I know she's going to be standing next to me this weekend. So in your expert opinion, your assessment of how she would be as a color commentator?
Well, I think Tiffy has a lot of great things to say all the time, and, I think it's a good spot for her, and she's very knowledgeable about the game, and, she enjoys hockey and enjoys life, so she'll have a good time doing whatever she does.
And someday we hope that maybe you'll join us at some point.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Maybe in the future.
Thoughts of Sherry Piper and Annie Gay between periods 2 and 3. And Piper, like Jillian Apps a couple months ago, being a good sport about Tiffany Haig joining me in the broadcast booth. But Tiffany, unfortunately for Sherry, the storyline in her career has as much been injury as success. And we saw what looked to be her aggravating her lower body injury from earlier in the season. And I guess the good news, if you're Dartmouth, is they've won big games without her. But the bad news is, from a bigger picture perspective, they had just gotten her back. And in a big game like this, to see her go down again, very, very unfortunate to see.
Absolutely. It's tough to see any player go down, but especially a player the caliber of Sherry Piper. That's obviously going to hurt the team a little bit. But, like you said, the good thing is Dartmouth's faced it in the past. All my years at Dartmouth, I think Piper's had a little bit of bad luck with injuries. And as well as this year, she's been out, I think, more than she's been in. But she seems to be on the ice right now, so we'll see how she comes out in the third period. For as much pain as she looked like she was in, I think it's a good sign to see her back.
Yeah, she is skating, taking a few turns.
I certainly didn't expect to see her back, given the body language we saw out there. So
it looks like she's going to give it a go, and Sarah Parsons with a very careful tap on the pads. As Piper doesn't look normal. I would say her strides were a little bit halted when she was testing it, but is going to give it a try and getting a pat from her freshman teammate. So Sherry Piper, who averaged, has 150 points in a decorated career, but this is only her 89th career game as a senior. So that kind of tells you, in an era where teams like Dartmouth will play upwards of 35 games a year, she's averaging only about 22 per season.
Right. For whatever the reason, the college game seems to haunt her a little bit, because I think in her international career, I don't believe she's been out for any extended period of time.
And as you heard her talk about in the interview, she was part of the best line on the planet last year with Jillian Apps and Haley Wickenheiser. They were dominant at the 2006 Winter Games, and Piper is having a good year when she's been available. She handles it here in the offensive zone, is averaging nearly 2 points per contest here. As you referenced to, this is only her 13th game of the season as Dominico ridden down from behind. Piper well enough to play the body a little bit there, and she scales it high off the glass out of the zone. It's a third period underway. So in the second period, we had a goal for each side. It was Dartmouth getting a second from Carolyn Etier, unassisted at 4:28, and then Kerry Wallace on the power play, her third from Annie Gay and Chelsea Grills at 18:57. That coming on a 5-on-3. And so Dartmouth 3, St. Lawrence 2, shots on goal 20-17. Big Green make that 20-18, and the game is tied on the follow as St. Lawrence strikes early, and Carson Duggan, who else would it be down low, who slams one in. We're all tied at 3 apiece.
That was a nice shot from the point there. I believe it was Annie Gay with the initial shot. It was tipped into Clemis. Clemis made the first save. Again, Clemis has been so good on those first saves, but St. Lawrence getting those players to the net was able to clean up the rebound, and now we have a 3-3 game.
They have really had two good rebound opportunities today, and both have gone in. The first was the Harbeck follow-up on Grill's shot in the first, and there, Carson Duggan. That is what she does. Not a flashy player, but the hockey adage would be the garbage goal. Carson Duggan specializes. She has 18 tallies in her sophomore year, and she slams one in there right off the bat. So look at St. Lawrence after facing that 5-on-3. They score with 1:03 left in the second. They score 1:03 into the third, and the game is tied at 3 apiece. But here comes Katie Weatherston in a 2-on-1 with Shannon Bowman. Weatherston with a drive. Save is made. A rebound by Bowman. Gukian was a little out of position, but Bowman couldn't pull it to the forehand. And back the other way we go as Sabrina Harbeck legs it up the left wing side, but she's very tired, so she puts it deep and heads off.
A little bit of deja vu there with the 2-on-1 with Weatherston and Bowman. Unfortunately for the Big Green, it didn't have the same result that it did in the first period, but almost a mirror play of what happened on the Dartmouth's initial goal.
Puck just inside the Big Green blue line. Sarah Noonan over skates, but she has help in the form of Amy Kyle, so Axtell couldn't get there. And St. Lawrence climbs out of a 3-1 deficit, and a very different hockey game in front of a strong crowd here at Thompson Arena, and Clemens will get the cover. So Duggan picks up her 18th, as you said, following up the point shot by Annie Gay. And it's 3-3 Dartmouth and St. Lawrence. Wouldn't expect anything less.
Absolutely. You really have to give credit to the St. Lawrence squad for not giving up. They always come into Thompson Arena ready to play and, don't seem to be intimidated by Dartmouth at all. They certainly, as you said earlier, the second period was a little bit choppy, a little bit strange, but St. Lawrence walked out of the second period with a momentum and obviously carried that into the third as an excellent shot comes off the faceoff.
A shot by Crystal Connors.
Connors, again, as you said, not getting much mention in the national spotlight, but certainly has been a factor here for St. Lawrence this afternoon.
She's well over 100 career points, and she's going to have a very typical Crystal Connors senior season. And she is pushing 30 points, a point-per-game player for much of her career. But there are players like that around the league and around the country. Julia Kalitsa at Mercier certainly comes to mind on the team that has Valerie Chouinard and Megan Augusta, who will get all the headlines. Kalitsa just kind of does her job, and they're the kind of players you can't win championships without.
Absolutely.
There's a long-distance dump in by Jenna Cunningham, fought off by Guki, and now it's Mashmeyer near side to Wallace. So
Dartmouth has a few of those players as well. Meredith Batchelor is one that comes to mind.
Here's Piper in front. Oh, Gukian with another spectacular glove save. She robbed Apps earlier and takes one back on Piper there.
Well, Gukian's certainly on with her glove this afternoon. As you said, robbing Apps earlier, and an excellent save there on Piper. Piper just sort of ran out of real estate. Gukian did a good job of coming out of her crease to challenge Sherry Piper.
I got to give Piper a lot of credit. She is not playing along the perimeter. She's going to push the envelope health-wise here as a shot comes in on Gukian. She made contact with the St. Lawrence netminder. She went in down low and put a nice shot up high by Gukian with a great glove stop. Here's Piper again in the high slot. Bumped free, though, by Harbeck. Harbeck on a diagonal forward. Grills takes the angle, trying to get inside of Piper. Grills will get to it on the near side red line. St. Lawrence will execute a change for fresh lines as Axtell comes to forecheck against Katie Gray. On the diagonal, Piper gathers to the backhand. Having trouble in her own end, looking for an outlet. Axtell pokes it away from her, but then it's hacked free up the wall and out by Parsons. Gay drops it right back in. Parsons waiting there to field.
Piper obviously ailing here for the Big Green, had a little bit of trouble. Luckily, with her experience, she's such a smart player. She's able to keep control and make the good decisions to put the puck to safe areas. But you have to wonder at what point, you have to draw the line out. Obviously, as she's a senior, she wants to play out her senior season. But it clearly looks like she's in pain and not the typical Sherry Piper we see.
Well, you're just not going to get the explosiveness and the mobility that you normally get from her. You still get her smarts and you still get her hands, but she's not going to probably be able to drive and do some of the things laterally that she normally can. But she's gutting it out right now in a 3-3 game. And St. Lawrence unbeaten in its last 11. And Dartmouth with just one loss in the conference that year, and that came during the Four Nations Cup to Colgate. And they're trying to essentially lock down first place. St. Lawrence trying to make things very much a race coming down the stretch. Shannon Bowman on the dump down. Gukian staring at it as it hops up the side of her cage, and now she's forced to cover, so Dartmouth will get an offensive zone draw.
Interesting bounce off the boards there. Nice job, nice awareness by Gukian to cover that up. Big draw here for Dartmouth as they come back with their top line.
And Piper is right back out there. They'll line up on the left side of the circle as Parsons and Harbeck get set for the drop. And Parsons, how many times has she been chased out of the circle today? That's 4 or 5. Piper kicks it free. Parsons gathers wrist shot. That was high and wide. Down low, it's Brittany Smith. Ladling on ahead to Grills, trying to angle it to the center. Knocked away by Piper. Piper in the high slot, turning hands off to Parsons. Piper bumped down from behind, and Gukian falls on top of it at the edge of the crease.
As you said, Parsons getting chased for at least the 5th time. I'm not really sure what's going on there, if there's a little miscommunication between her and her wings or what's going on. She seemed to be struggling a bit off the face-offs. Katie Weatherson's doing an excellent job off the face-offs for Dartmouth. But other than that, Reuben Harback's cleaning up for St. Lawrence, as she does on this draw.
Wins another one. Shannon Bowman, arguably Dartmouth's best face-off taker. But Weatherston, since they play on the same line, Weatherston getting more of those assignments now. As Parsons and Harbeck contest for it down low. Brittany Smith monitoring. Parsons goes down near the puck. Smith works it free, but far side it's Piper. With 15:10 to go in the third, Katie Gray had to retreat to center to play it. And we're tied at 3 apiece as St. Lawrence has rallied from 3-1 down on a 5-on-3 goal by Kerry Wallace and an even strength rebound by Carson Duggan.
Atier's out there now for the Big Green with Cunningham and Ruda. It'll be interesting to see. Atier has 2 on the day. Maybe she can pop a third one in here. She pressures hard.
Etier and Cunningham operating down low. Etier wins it free. She has lots of room behind the net. Threw it to the front. It was tied up in Cunningham's skates. Taken back by Annie Gay. And there goes Gay charging forward, looking for offense from her defensive position. Gay puts it to the left wing corner. And as Cunningham scales it around, goes through Etier, bounces up the wall and out. Axtell backpedaling to play along the red line. Puck knocked down with a high stick by Cunningham. And there's the whistle with 14:25 on the clock.
It's a big period, obviously, for both teams, as we said before, the implications of this game for the playoffs. If it stays as is, it'll be a huge moral victory, I'd have to imagine, for St. Lawrence coming down from two back. But we'll just see how it plays out here.
True, but from a standings perspective, I think it would be enough for Dartmouth to be 2 games up, essentially, and really 3 games up because they would own the season series head-to-head against both St. Lawrence and Dartmouth at that point. And we got a penalty here on the Saints as Weatherston was dumped from behind. So I agree with you. St. Lawrence would take some solace in getting a point, but from Dartmouth's perspective, 4-point lead with a month to play. That's not too bad either, but they're looking for more than that as Axtell goes to the box, and so that Big Green 25% power play with those 5 forwards will get a chance to pull ahead once again here.
We have 3 centermen out there with at 4, Piper, Parsons, Weatherston, and Bowman, all who can win faceoffs. It's interesting to see Weatherston's taking this one, but as you said earlier, Shannon Bowman, arguably the best faceoff taker on the Dartmouth team. It's a tough call who you want at that center ice circle.
Buck put out a play as Harbeck won another one. Well, Harbeck's been tough to go against no matter who. Has stepped up against her for Dartmouth, and she'll take another one as Harbeck grills Wallace and Bullard. Start opposite Weatherston, Parsons, Bowman, Apps, and Piper. Dartmouth does control this one. Here's Parsons on left wing, cutting to the center. Sidestepping along the blue line. Rifles it down behind the net. Bullard gets the first touch, bumps neatly to Wallace. Wallace on the backhand around the boards. Piper holds there. Now Bowman handing off to Parsons, down low to Katie Weatherston. Weatherston back to Parsons outside the ring. Has a minute and a half to work with. She knifes through the defense. Weatherston up top, Piper, big windup. Shot is partially blocked. Bowman puts it to the far corner to give Parsons some space. Now to Weatherston, a one touching it back to the freshman Parsons, up top to the senior and Piper.
St. Lawrence looks to be going a little bit more aggressive on this penalty kill than we've seen earlier in the first and second period. They were playing more of a passive box. This time they seem to be going not quite to the aggressive rotation that Dartmouth plays, but putting a little bit more pressure on, not giving their big forwards as much time to handle the puck.
Katie Weatherston at center. Moves in over the line on the right wing side, dropping it off to Batchelor, wrists it toward Gukian, reaches for it, came up empty. Kennedy on the follow, steps behind the net, losing on the poke check though to Annie Gay. Gay off the wall to Allison Domenico. Domenico cleanly out to center with 45 seconds to go on the minor penalty to Tara Axtell. Now Etier with 2 goals on the day, feeding Kennedy right wing side, and Maggie Kennedy pushes it into the circle. A couple of Big Green players again get together and go down. That time Kennedy and Cunningham. Etier does a nice job to hold the line and pivot and lose the defender. Etier in front, Cunningham. Kennedy on the follow, sharp angle shot, and another glove saved by Gukian to stymie that chance as Carolyn Etier, kind of a whirling dervish along the blue line to keep the puck in.
Yeah, Carolyn Etier is shaking her hand a little bit. She took that puck right to the palm, but nice job by her to hold the zone, and obviously Dartmouth got a chance off of that with Cunningham taking the initial shot, getting blocked, and Kennedy following up with the rebound, but another big glove save by Gukian.
Down low, Brittany Smith hard off the glass, and kicking at it was Batchelor, but she couldn't hold. And now it's Alicia Batchelor the other way for St. Lawrence shorthanded. Has a trailer. Crystal Connors, and Clemens takes a look around her, but she's got it squeezed.
Nice job again by St. Lawrence forcing that high turnover off of Dartmouth, and Meredith Batchelor just not quite able to hold the zone, and the other Batchelor for St. Lawrence taking off the other way on a 2-on-1. Connors again coming up with a nice shot, but Clemens there on the save. Again, Clemens has been doing an excellent job all night and all season for that matter of coming up with that initial save. She won't give you much if you shoot at her, but gets some traffic and makes it a little bit tougher on the goalie.
Crystal Connors down low, matched up with a host of Big Green defenders. Penalty just about over. Clemens banging her stick. And here we are 5-on-5 as Parsons hits the St. Lawrence line. Parsons toe dragging into a shot that sails wide. Weatherston on the follow, slips it off the side of the net, walks to the front. It's loose outside the crease area. Parsons digging for it. Weatherston as well. A lot of sage down there, and Axtell finally wins it free. Now Wallace poke checked away. Reaching for it was Parsons in front. Golf to the near side wall. Not out of danger yet as Bowman scraps for it along with Axtell. Weatherston down low to double team. Bowman fishes it out of the pile. Shannon Bowman centers it. Tipped away by the stick of Connors. Not out of the zone. Shot by Cobb. Doesn't go through. Weatherston in the circle. Turns and fires. But she got underneath that one and put it over the crossbar. Bowman picks up on the near side. Up now to Sarah Noonan. And even though it's 5-on-5, it still looks like a Dartmouth power play as St. Lawrence finally gets the clear. And a whistle here for offsides, I believe, as Sarah Topol might have been in early. So that'll let both teams change up with 11:25 to go in the third, tied at 3.
Looks like Sarah Topol's out there for Dartmouth. Her first time on the ice in a while. It looks like Sarah Parsons got caught out on the last shift for a little bit longer, so Dartmouth needs to get their lines realigned.
They're trying to spring Grills for a long-distance pass, and Clemens held on for the cover. Topol, of course, was the hero in the game you and I did in December, scoring that extra man goal with 19 seconds on the clock against UNH to salvage a 3-3 tie for the Big Green. And it's tied at 3 today as Etier has a pair for Dartmouth. Bowman has a goal as well. Harbeck, Wallace, and Duggan for the Saints. Ryan Schultz, Tiffany Haig on hand. And another good game here on the USCHO Game of the Week between number 3 Dartmouth and number 6 St. Lawrence, the teams that run 1-2 in the ECAC Hockey League at the moment.
Interesting matchup here right now on the ice. St. Lawrence has their top line of Harbeck, Grills, and Duggan out for St. Lawrence, and Dartmouth's coming back with their third line of Ruda, Topol, and Etier right now on the ice. Earlier we saw Jillian Apps' line facing off against Harbeck, so a little bit of juggling going on.
Off the draw, Dartmouth does get the clear as Etier chops it off the wall, and Gay will backpedal to her own end to retrieve. Etier comes in on the forecheck as Gay sends it up the center of the ice to Harbeck. Steps through a defender and hands off to Grills on left wing. Chelsea Grills playmaking. Centers it to the player in front. Clemens made the save coming across to deny Carson Duggan.
Outstanding save by Carly Clemens there. Sliding across and just getting her pad on that. Nice pass there by Duggan.
So Grills threw it in front, and Duggan, who had the follow-up goal at the start of the period, she had a good look at number 2 on the redirect. Clemens was head on a swivel, wasn't sure where the puck was, but she came across, flashed the pads, and made the stop to keep this 3-3 as we come up on the midway point of the third.
Again, Dartmouth giving up an odd man rush there, and St. Lawrence doing a good job of taking advantage of that.
Got some penalties here. Looks like Batchelor and Harbeck might have been mixed up after that save was made, so they're both going to sit for 2. And that penalty took place while play was going on, so that will affect manpower. It will be 4-on-4 here as Dartmouth sends it down. Icing waved off. Bowman comes back to collect. Down behind the St. Lawrence net, slamming on the brakes, has Kennedy parked in front. Bowman trying to escape Brittany Smith.
Nice work by Shannon Bowman, keeping control of the puck, deking in the corner there.
Cobb, though, couldn't hold the blue line, and now it's Brittany Smith on right wing, pushing on ahead. Noonan collects, wheels behind her own net. Dominico on the forecheck. Got a piece of it, but couldn't come up with control. Now Noonan backhands behind the net to Cobb. Cobb on the diagonal feeds Kennedy, and Kennedy escapes the zone, but it's taken back by Wallace at center, left wing side to Dominico. And the sophomore for the Saints drops it in as she heads off for fresh legs. Banked out to center. There's Piper in space, cutting to the left wing side. Team changing behind her, so she's on an island. Collects with help from Apps on the near side. Apps in front. Parsons on Piper on the backhand, barreling toward the crease, was taken off her skates, but back the other way we go as Connors gains the red line, and Apps will get hit with a penalty as she takes Crystal Connors down from behind. Call is going to be made for hooking, and it's going to be 4-on-3 for the Saints for 50 seconds in a 3-3 game.
Apps obviously not happy about the call, shaking her out as the ref as she goes off. I couldn't see it from my vantage point as to what happened.
Well, Connors was possessing Apps using the stick a bit from behind. Connors went down, and call was made. Apps perhaps shaking her head as much that Piper didn't get the benefit of a call the other way as she was trying to drive to the front. But the end result is a Saint power play hill. So Grills, Connors, Gay, and Bullard opposite Katie Gray, Katie Weatherston, and Julia Bronson. And Weatherston, nice job on the draw. She wins it forward out of the zone. Abby Bullard slaps it off the wall to center, but Katie Gray right there to rifle it down deep. And it's Annie Gay behind her own net. 35 to go on the 4-on-3, and then Harbeck will join the power play, and Batchelor will join the penalty kill as Connors totes it over the Dartmouth line. Connors turns the corner, has a player backdoor. It's Grills, she scores! Chelsea Grills one times the feed from Crystal Connors, and St. Lawrence has climbed back in front. It's 4-3.
I was just going to comment, Brian, that there's a ton of open ice out there with it being 4-on-3. A nice job by St. Lawrence. I mean, using their strengths. Unfortunately for Dartmouth, Julia Bronson, the defender, fell down a little bit there. Connors was able to take advantage of that and laid a nice saucer pass over the stick of, I believe, Amy Cobb right onto Chelsea Girls' tape. Girls with an excellent finish. Nothing that Clemens could do about that. Girls got it up over her glove, and again, a nice goal by St. Lawrence, and you really have to give it to this team for not giving up and keeping the pressure on.
So St. Lawrence jumped out to the 1-0 lead. 3 unanswered for the Big Green from that point. Now 3 unanswered by the Saints. The latest Chelsea Girls 10th on the power play from Crystal Connors. And here's Sherry Piper attacking the other way. So the drama escalates here. St. Lawrence looking for a titanic sweep as they go into the Bright Center last night, get their first win in 6 seasons down there, and now trying to come up to Thompson Arena and pull off the double against Dartmouth, but still 8:43 on the clock. And the Big Green do not figure to go quietly here, down 4-3.
No, absolutely not. This one's going to come down to the wire. St. Lawrence getting Harbeck back in 2 seconds. I believe they'll have to wait for a whistle, though, since they're coincidental penalties.
The doors are open as Weatherston and Grills will take the draw. And as Tiffany alluded to, a beautiful finish by Grills. A good pass by Connors, but Grills keeps that on the ice. Clemens has a shot, but she got it up into the upper 90 for her 10th. And it's 4-3 St. Lawrence. As Jenna Cunningham slips a check, powers to the front, the follow by Weatherston, stopped by Gukian. A melee on the edge of the crease, and somewhere amidst the pile, Megan Gukian had it controlled, although we see the puck now roll free away from the pile.
Right, I'm not sure if she did have complete control or the ref just lost sight of it. Either way, good break for St. Lawrence as the face-off's coming with 3 Dartmouth players swarming around the net. Nice job by Katie Weatherston there, just unfortunately couldn't get it quite over the pad of Gukian, but very aware on the save.
Maybe it's just a special team situation, but the lines look to be modified for the moment as Weatherston, Apps, and Cunningham are together. Off the draw, Bronson trying to hold the line, but Harbeck floats it forward to Grills, gloves it down at center, and not a hand pass, so she drops it off to Harbeck for the wrist shot with Duggan camped out in front. Stick save Clemens. Wound around the boards, held by Brittany Mashmeyer. Katie Gray near side of Weatherston. Weatherston has Apps on ahead. She lays it into space. Icing waved off, so Gay will have to play it behind her own net as Cunningham comes in to forecheck. Bowman on the turnover. Shannon Bowman from the angle snaps it wide of the mark. The lively ricochet near side is collected by Sarah Noonan. On now to Weatherston. Weatherston splitting a couple of defenders. Weatherston is very dangerous in these tight quarters. Down low, Bowman for the wrist shot, and Gukian makes another save. We got some pushing and shoving after the whistle as Weatherston was prying for the rebound, but both teams separated, and we'll keep the draw by Megan Gukian with 7:46 to go in the third. St. Lawrence up 4-3.
Yeah, you see Katie Weatherston doing a good job of possessing the puck again. She's so dangerous and dishes off to Shannon Bowman, who gets a nice low shot. Gukian doing a good job of coming to the top of her crease again and challenging the shooter. You see a little bit of pushing and shoving after the whistle, and you see Gukian's hands kind of go up, saying, "Hey, leave me alone."
Mariana Locke blocks the shot from Noonan, and Locke was not happy. Looked like she was standing right close to that red line. Did not get the benefit of the call, and it's icing on the Saints. So we'll bring it back by Gukian with 7.5 to go in the third. And it does look like the line combinations have been juggled a bit. And I do think I still see Sherry Piper on the bench, but she may have missed a turn here.
Yeah, Sherry Piper and Sarah Parsons have been absent for the last couple of shifts here. I don't know what exactly is going on, but I'm sure Coach Hudak has something in mind as he has Kennedy out there with Bowman and Etier now.
Here comes Locke through center. Locke bouncing it toward Clemens. Nudges it aside to Sarah Noonan. Noonan up right wing to Etier. Tips it out of the zone to Kennedy. Kennedy slips one check. Couldn't get by the second. It was Harbeck. Backed up, though, by Cobb. The bouncing puck goes back to Sabrina Harbeck. That puck probably should have been whistled down. It caught a player coming off, but we play on as Harbeck throws it into the zone. Meredith Batchelor winding it around near side to Carolyn Etier. Etier losing, though, to Carson Duggan. Duggan in turn dispossessed, and it's Sarah Noonan once again for the Big Green, stepping around the forecheck on the right wing side as Parsons hacks it to the zone. And now the lines will reset properly as Parsons, Apps, and Piper have been reunited. Harbeck slides on ahead to Grills. Grills with 6:40 to go in the third. It is her 10th that is the difference right now as St. Lawrence has rallied from a 3-1 deficit to possess a 4-3 lead and sent all the way down. Again, no icing. So Axtell will have to play it a half step in front of Piper. Forecheck applied. Puck is turned over. Piper wheels it to the front and wrists it just wide. Parsons chasing on the near side wall, reaching after Mashmeyer. Mashmeyer pushes up right wing into space. Gray hacks it back into the zone with a couple of teammates trapped off sides. And Gukian will let Kerry Wallace play it in the near corner as Wallace slides on ahead to Courtney Sawchuk with 6:09 to go in the third. Now Weatherston escapes the fray. Weatherston 1-on-4. Wrist shot. Shoulder save. Rebound is left. Crashing was Bowman. She bowled over Gukian, but the puck was cleared out of the zone. Noonan was a step late in trying to seal it to the corner. And now Dartmouth will peel off and complete a change with under 6 to go in the third and still trailing by 1 are the Big Green.
St. Lawrence has a chance to regroup here. Things are a little bit crazy, lots of turnovers in the neutral zone. You see Batchelor for St. Lawrence just making the smart decision, dumping the puck in, making Newnham go back for Dartmouth again. Newnham and Amy Cobb have been out there. This deep pair, this whole line, in fact, has been out there for a while. Got caught in the defensive zone.
And now Newnham finally climbs over the boards to the bench as Annie Gay wraps it around to Dominico. Dominico hands back to the defenseman, and Gay massages on ahead, hoping for Connors. That was broken up by Bronson. And on the left wing side, it's Kennedy shooting deep.
You see Julia Bronson, a more offensive defenseman, getting a little bit more time in these minutes winding down for the Big Green. Obviously, they need a goal, so putting all their offense on the line here.
Gay D to Bullard. Bullard on the bank, too far for Connors, and it will be Bronson getting the first touch just inside the Dartmouth blue stripe. Now Etier. Etier, who's had a pair of goals off end-to-end rushes, moving forward, gains the line. Wrist shot is blocked, but Jenna Cunningham was a step ahead anyway, so offside.
It's a big face-off here again at neutral ice. See who takes it. It looks Sherry Piper, Jillian Epps, Parsons are back out there. So Piper looks to be holding up pretty well for her injury.
So the big lines for both teams are opposite each other once again, and this time Parsons gets the best of Harbeck as Apps plays with it, snapping through the diagonal to Piper, who tips it into the zone. Kerry Wallace down behind the net. Piper tips that away, and now here's Parsons in front. Redirect! Oh, great save by Gukian on Jillian Apps once again, and Sabrina Harbeck is counterattacking with Carson Duggan. Harbeck with a full head of steam. Newnham trying to take the angle. Harbeck powering through. Duggan was in front but couldn't redirect it on net. And Piper now, with help from Newnham, is able to one-hand it out of the zone.
See the strength of Sabrina Harbeck there, driving wide on Dartmouth's Sarah Newnham. Two defenders on her, Newnham right on her, and Katie Gray coming over to help out, and Harbeck still keeps control of the puck and is able to muscle it down and put the puck out in front for her teammate.
4:05 on the third period clock. Brian Schultz, Tiffany Haig, USCHO Game of the Week has been as good as advertised. Number 6 St. Lawrence with a 4-3 lead over number 3 Dartmouth, having come out of a 3-1 deficit. With a goal late in the second by Kerry Wallace, a goal early in the third by Carson Duggan, and a power play tally by Chelsea Grills most recently. Clemens behind their net, stops for Bronson. Bronson on the pivot, banks on ahead to Weatherston, goes through her stick, fielded by Abby Bullard inside St. Real Estate. Near side to Brittany Smith, turned over though to Weatherston on the backhand, hands off to Kennedy, but couldn't get the shot through traffic as Grills was back checking. Brittany Smith now over to Bullard. Bullard in the far corner, Apps on the forecheck, the lead pass to Grills. Pinballing puck finally gathered at center by Kennedy. Kennedy turns it over the red line. Harbeck on the poke check, the right to Katie Gray. Gray slaps it over the line. Forced back out by Bullard, who pushes on ahead, but right into the equipment of Sherry Piper. Bullard getting another chance in her own zone. Now we'll sling it over to Brittany Smith on the near side. Parsons and Apps come down low to forecheck. Piper stays high in the zone. And she collects the puck off the wall, throwing it toward Megan Gukian, who paddles it aside to Bullard with now 2:55 to go in the third period, and St. Lawrence up by a count of 4-3.
St. Lawrence having a little bit of trouble getting it out of their D zone. That line of Girls, Harbeck and Duggan out there, caught out there for a while, looked to be a bit tired. Dartmouth coming back on the rush.
Neutral zone play here as Mashmeyer takes over with 2.5 to go in the third period. Dartmouth keeping the shift short and maximizing time for their big guns. As Bowman and Weatherston right back out there, and it's Newnham down low, dealing it over to Cobb in the far side of the Dartmouth end. Up now to Weatherston, it bounces off her stick to center, but she's got a step perhaps on Mashmeyer, who gets there a stride ahead of the Canadian Olympian. Bumps it across to Wallace. Wallace on the diagonal to no one in particular, but got it out of her own end, if nothing else. And now it's Bronson at center, taken back by Connors. Connors and Dominico, 2-on-2 as they hit the line. The centering pass for Dominico. Nice job by Bowman to deny the pass just enough, and then they take the net off its moorings. No harm, no foul. We'll just have a draw on the Dartmouth end.
Great back check by Shannon Bowman there to stop the 2-on-1. Nice pass again by Crystal Connors. St. Lawrence doing a great job. You see they're just playing a puck possession game right now, not forcing anything, making smart decisions, throwing it to space, and just trying to get it out of their zone.
Well, the faceoff will be at Clemens' right as she puts her equipment back together, and I think we might have had a timeout expended. That's interesting. So a timeout used in a defensive zone with 2:04 to go in the third. Unofficially, Dartmouth with 32 shots to St. Lawrence's 21, and that would imply 12-4 in favor of the Big Green in this period. However, St. Lawrence has 2 goals in the period on their 4 attempts.
Right. It's interesting that Mark Hudak would choose to use his timeout now while the puck is in the defensive zone, but at the same time, Harbeck's out there for St. Lawrence, who's been winning a lot of draws, and obviously if they win the puck back, it's a good chance for them to possess it in the offensive zone. I would look for him to tell his Dartmouth team to get possession of the puck, get it deep, and then I would look for Clemens to make a run to the bench.
But the other thing, if you're St. Lawrence, look for a long pass. I mean, Dartmouth loves to spring Jillian Apps in particular up that weak side. If they could win the draw, and if you're St. Lawrence, it is in the offensive zone, but the first order of the day has to be to defend.
Absolutely. Jillian Apps is so dangerous in the neutral zone. Anytime you put it to space, she's able to skate onto it. She's so fast and so strong and just really difficult for the defenders to keep up with her. So I would look for Dartmouth to probably try and win the draw back and maybe spring Apps wide.
So the draw will come to Carly Clemens' right. It will be Parsons against Harbeck, as it has been often this afternoon. Draw put to the corner. Batchelor has control. Around it goes to Bronson. And actually, they leaked Piper into the neutral zone, but couldn't get it to her. She does get a touch and forces it over the line. Piper with pressure on Bullard. Harbeck puts it off the wall, held by Bronson with 1:50 to go in the third period. When will Mark Hudak look to vacate his net for an extra skater? Far side. Now Bronson with possession, throwing it toward the net, intercepted by Gay. Her pass nearly turned over to Parsons in the slot. Parsons centers it now, blocked away by Grills. The net is empty, and Grills has possession as she escapes the zone, is bothered from behind before she could take the attempt, but did enough to get over center ice and get it deep with 1:27 to go in the third. St. Lawrence has a 4-3 lead, trying to sweep Harvard and Dartmouth on the road and pull within 1 point of first place in the conference standings. Sarah Parsons on the left wing side, backhands deep and gives chase. Gukian did not play it, so down comes Bowman against Wallace. Weatherston there as well. Weatherston fought off by Dominico. Loose puck pushed behind the net. There's a lot of people down low right now. As it's slapped up the wall. Pinching is Katie Gray. 1 minute to go in the third. Gray off the wall to Parsons. Parsons protecting against Wallace, down low to Weatherston. Here comes Bowman to help out, and Bowman clears to the point to Gray. Gray with a wrist shot. It did not go through. St. Lawrence clogging things up here. It's bounced into the low slot. Weatherston in front, Apps on the redirect. Oh, and Gukian made the save at point-blank range.
Nice job by Gukian with his save of the game there on Jillian Apps. Not necessarily a good decision by Crystal Connors for St. Lawrence.
And look at Paul Flanagan's reaction to that. We've extolled the virtues of Connors on several occasions, but right in front of the St. Lawrence bench, she took a shot at the empty net from her own side of the red line, and Paul Flanagan put both hands on top of his head as if to say, why, with 36.5 to bring the draw back down by Gukian one more time.
Yeah, her coach is certainly not happy about that. As a player, you never know. I mean, you just have to be smart, but obviously when you get the puck and there's 36 seconds left, sometimes the excitement gets to you. I think with Connors in that frame, she just decided to get it down. And
puck pushed to the front here. It's loose on the crease. Lots of bodies, and Gukian has it covered once again. Well, that's one of those things. If you're going to take that shot, you better hit it.
Yeah, exactly. Dartmouth and St. Lawrence look to go in their goal line formation there with bodies flying everywhere. Another huge face-off.
25.7. St. Lawrence with Chelsea Grill's power play goal. The difference right now, clinging to the 4-3 lead. Dartmouth throwing everything they have at Megan Gukian and the St. defense. And here's Parsons off the wall, beating the defender. Wrist shot is saved. Puck is loose. They score! Jillian Apps with 18 seconds to go. And Dartmouth in the waiting moments has tied the game at 4.
Wow. Great job by Dartmouth just getting the puck to the net. Jillian Apps obviously so good in that blue paint, just cleaning it up and putting it in.
Listen to this crowd right now. You can hear the presence in the home rink of the Dartmouth Big Green, who have been so tough all year long. And deja vu for us. Seems like just a month ago we were at UNH watching Dartmouth do the same thing at almost the exact same time. That time it was Topol. This time it's Apps. And it all started with Sarah Parsons beating a couple defenders off the wall to finally create some space inside a stalwart St. defense. And Jillian Apps' career-high 23rd of the season ties the game at 4 with 18 seconds to go in the third period.
You have to wonder what Coach Paul Flanagan's thinking now about that icing that Connors had.
That's a great point. That's a great. You wonder what Crystal Connors is thinking.
Exactly.
Such a valuable player. And in fact, let's not forget who was it that set up the go-ahead goal for St. Lawrence. It was Crystal Connors who burned through the Dartmouth defense, laid a great pass across for Chelsea Grills, but Connors An ill-advised attempt at an empty net goal. It leads to a defensive zone draw, and Jillian Apps makes St. Lawrence pay.
Gukian came up with some excellent saves, robbing the Dartmouth forwards in that third period.
Well, Apps has been due. She's been stuffed about 3 or 4 times at close quarters today, including that brilliant glove stop late in the first period. But finally knocks one past, and her 23rd from Parsons at 19:42 answers Grill's 10th from Connors earlier in the third period. So what a game we've had. Sabrina Harbeck staking St. Lawrence to a 1-0 lead, then 3 unanswered goals by Dartmouth, including 2 brilliant rushes by Carolyn Etier. And then St. Lawrence with a gutsy rally with Kerry Wallace, Carson Duggan, and Chelsea Grills, giving the Saints a 4-3 lead that lasted into the final minute. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of karma. You talk about St. Lawrence winning last night's game in the final minute of regulation, but today they give up the equalizer with 18 seconds to go. We've still got free hockey, 5 minutes of sudden death overtime between these longtime rivals.
Right. Well, I think that's definitely the mark of a good team. As I said earlier with St. Lawrence, they were down early. They never quit. They came back and obviously took the lead. Well, the same can be said for Dartmouth. I mean, 18 seconds left. You pull your goaltender. All you're thinking is throw the puck to the net and get people to the net and hope for the best. But I think it's a mark of an excellent team that shows enough confidence to keep going and obviously enough resiliency to put the puck in the net. Jillian Apps there with her 23rd goal. Obviously an excellent finisher, has had a great year and just so dangerous in the paint.
Well, both these teams acquitting themselves quite well today. St. Lawrence playing with a lot of confidence. And it's funny, the last time we had them on the program was in November when they were in the midst of a very tough schedule. They went to UNH, and UNH really outclassed them on that day, a 4-0 win. Very comfortable for the Wildcats. Saints have come a long way since then. Right now, still in position for perhaps a 3 or 4 point weekend on the road against Harvard and Dartmouth, but they were 18 seconds away from getting the sweep accomplished, and Jillian Apps, with an assist from Sarah Parsons, said we'll stay a little while longer, and so we'll start overtime with Weatherston's line opposite the unit of Connors, Dominico, and Locke.
Right, the Big Green owning St. Lawrence in those last few seconds. Interesting, though, after they pulled their goalie, they had a few scary moments in their own end, but again, able to move the puck down, and their potent offense just sort of took over.
Off the draw, Maggie Kennedy, near side, pushing out ahead. It goes off the skates of Weatherston to the corner, and she'll hustle after Brittany Smith down low. Weatherston gets possession of it, trying to establish a cycle with Bowman, broken up, and here's Dominico springing Connors out of the zone. Connors like to make amends for that empty net try that she attempted that became the icing that led to the equalizing goal. Gets it deep to the zone here. And out of the zone comes Shannon Bowman. Bowman over the line, hacks it down deep. As Dartmouth goes for a change in lines, and the Apps unit comes out. Sarah Newnham back at her own end. Locke monitoring on the forecheck. Diagonals up now to Sarah Parsons, leaving across for Sarah Newnham. Newnham diagonally on ahead to Apps, the hero of the moment. The drop pass is to Piper. Piper with a wrist shot. Caught by Gukian. That sharp glove of Gukian's coming in handy again as she holds on.
Yeah, absolutely. And another nice shot by Sherry Piper with Jillian Apps just lurking going into the net. So dangerous.
So the draw is to the left of Megan Gukian. Parsons will take it and stand in against Harbeck. Harbeck wins it cleanly to Annie Gay. Gay retreats behind her own net, slams on the brakes. Nice little pass to Harbeck, and she's free of the zone. Left wing side to Grills. Grills' goal gave St. Lawrence the lead. Now she's playmaking, trying to throw it to the front. Sarah Newnham got a stick in the passing lane with a minute gone in overtime. Bullard from the point. It deflected off a leg, and a great adjustment for a kick save by Clemmis. Saves the day for the Big Green for the moment. But here's Harbeck. The drop pass to Grills. Grills with a wrist shot with Duggan in front. It went off Duggan and wide.
Two great opportunities there by St. Lawrence. That last coming off the screen shot, but the first one, excellent save by Carly Clemens, getting tipped in front by a St. Lawrence defender. Again, just getting a shot on net. Doesn't look too dangerous, but it hits something in front, and suddenly it becomes a great save.
At center, it's Weatherston. Weatherston slipping around one defender. Weatherston hits the line for a drive, and she cut the outside of the pipe. Katie Weatherston from long range trying to end it, and that bid inches away as she picks up in the far corner against Annie Gay with 3:10 to go in overtime.
You see both chances at both ends are big save by Clemmis on the Dartmouth side, and then Katie Weatherston comes back with a drive right off that outside pipe.
Dominico now counterattacking against Etier. Drags it through a defender and got a lot on that shot. Great athleticism by Dominico, but it sailed wide. Far side, it's Bronson. Bronson harassed from behind by Domenico, but the puck escaped the zone, and Mashmeyer deals it near side to Wallace with 2:43 to go in OT, tied at 4 apiece, St. Lawrence and Dartmouth.
You see the ability of these St. Lawrence forwards. Domenico there with another great move. They seem to have the toe drag down. Good hands on a lot of their forwards.
There's an errant head man by Batchelor. That's going to be an icing on the big green and a draw back by Carly Clemis. So it's 4-4, but both Clemis and Glukian. Clemis with 18 saves and Glukian unofficially with 33.
Be interesting to see if St. Lawrence elects to use a timeout at any point. They still have theirs remaining, and it's face off in their offensive zone here.
Harbeck will take it against Parsons. Controlled by the Saints. Grills taps it to Wallace. Fans on the pass. That lets Piper get into the play. Piper was knocked down by Wallace, and here comes Apps all alone. Fans on the shot. Follows it up, and she scores! Jillian Apps wins it on the breakaway in overtime. And Apps, who rescued the day for the Big Green at the end of regulation, gives them a victory and may have given them first place in the ECAC Hockey League.
Absolutely. Apps had 3 swats at that. Glukian coming up with the initial save, but Apps just following it up is too strong, too powerful, and you can't give a forward like that 3 swipes at a puck. She's going to finish it. What a game by both St. Lawrence and the Big Green. Glukian standing at center ice now, obviously disappointed. The Big Green elated with their finish. Really a lot of heart on both sides.
Mark Kudak and Paul Flanagan having a discussion. As a coach, it's heartbreaking and it's exhilarating, but at the end of the day, it's a tip-your-cap situation. Both these teams, excellent squads, and brought the A game for much of the contest. Neither wanting to end on the wrong side of the decision, but it was one more chance for Jillian Apps. So how about Jillian Apps, senior captain, gold medalist from Team Canada, scores in regulation with 18 seconds left and then wins it on the breakaway in overtime. Not her most artistic finish, but the second chance opportunity jammed home her 24th at the 2:42 mark, and Dartmouth wins it 5-4, and they are 5 points clear of the field as we come up on the month of February, looking in all the world as if they will be the site of the 2007 ECHG Championships.
Absolutely. Well, again, St. Lawrence coming off the big win last night at Harvard, gave an excellent performance here today at Thompson Arena. It's got to be a tough loss for them. Again, the Big Green showing exactly what they're made of. I would be nervous to play any of these teams in the playoffs, and both of them coming on so strong. I wouldn't want to be any of their opponents.
Sherry Piper's doubled over at the blue line, receiving congratulations for a gutsy performance from her, aggravating her lower body injury. And now you can see the limp starting to return now that the day is over. But Piper actually started that winning play. She tipped it out of the zone, was kind of knocked down by Wallace along the blue line, and that's what wound up springing Jillian Apps for the game winner. Let's recap the scoring. I'll give Tiffany a few minutes to pick out 3 stars of the game. You have an unenviable task today, my friend, as there were a lot of people who made a difference. But let's go through the stat sheet, and I'll have you try to identify your favorite 3 on this afternoon, although I think I know who number 1 is going to wind up being. But in the first period, it was Sabrina Harbeck getting her 20th of the season, rebounding a Chelsea girls wrist shot at 6:34. St. Lawrence had itself a 1-0 lead, but that goal really seemed to ignite the Dartmouth Big Green as they would come back with 2 goals in a 48-second span. The first at 9:53, Carolyn Etier getting her 9th from Sarah Newnham. A beautiful end-to-end rush for Etier going top shelf. And then 48 seconds later, it was on the 2-on-1. Shannon Bowman getting her 7th, from Katie Weatherston and Maggie Kennedy at 10:41. That is how the first period would end, even though St. Lawrence had to fight off a 5-on-3 for the Big Green. In the second period, Etier made it 3-1 at 4:28. Another end-to-end rush, this time using the 5-hole for her 10th. And Dartmouth looked to be in good shape, out-shooting the Saints handily. They had a 3-1 lead. They then had a look at another full 5-on-3, but on the other side of that, St. Lawrence got through it nicely on the kill. Then they received a 5-on-3 of their own, and it was Kerry Wallace at the 18:57 mark who rifled home a shot for her 3rd on the power play from Annie Gay and Chelsea Grills, and it was 3-2 at the end of 2. And that set the stage for a wild finish, as in the third period, Carson Duggan picked up her 18th, just 103 in, as she rebounded an Annie Gay slap shot. That tied the game at 3, and then it was Crystal Connor skating on the power play, but coming down in transition, who beat a Dartmouth defender wide, saucers it backdoor to Chelsea Grills, and Grills rifled the one-timer home for her 10th. And St. Lawrence had a 4-3 lead that they held on to all the way until the final minute of play. With the Dartmouth net empty, Crystal Connors had a chance with possession in the neutral zone. She tried for the empty net from her own half as opposed to gaining the red line and dumping it in. It went wide of the net. It became an icing and an offensive zone draw for Dartmouth. And off that faceoff, Sarah Parsons won the puck free amidst two St. Lawrence defenders, centered it backdoor for Jillian Apps. Apps pounded home her 23rd, and the game was tied at 4. Apps would then become the ultimate hero in overtime, taking the breakaway feed, moving in, fanning on her initial shot attempt, but following up to jam the rebound into what became an exposed net with Gukian out of position trying to make the initial stop. Apps had her second of the day, 24th of the season, and Dartmouth wins it by a count of 5-4. And they improve to 14-1-1 in the conference, 17-4-2 overall. They are 5 points ahead of the St. Lawrence Saints, who dropped to 12-4 on the season, with a 20-win, 6-loss, and 2-tie resume on the whole. And Tiffany, count them down. 3, 2, 1. Who you got for me?
3, 2, 1. All right. Well, obviously on both sides there's a lot of key players. I thought Gukian played well for St. Lawrence as well as Crystal Connors. And I think for Dartmouth, obviously, had a number of players that played well. But my number 3 star is going to have to be Chelsea Grills for St. Lawrence, coming up with the 2 big assists and obviously the huge goal to put our team up 4-3 in the third period. My number 2 star is going to have to be, Carolyn Etier for Dartmouth, coming up with the big 2 goals to lead her team in the first couple periods, obviously stepping up and giving her team some offense. Nice leadership there. But my number 1 star is going to have to go to my friend, Jillian Apps, and who did an excellent job. Obviously, she had some chances throughout the game and finally was able to bury them at the most clutch times, getting the game-tying goal and then the game-winning goal in overtime. So congrats to both Dartmouth and St. Lawrence, and those are my 3 stars.
It was a tremendous game, and those are the kinds of moments that stars and leaders are made of. And Jillian Apps coming up big at the critical times, scoring a goal at the end of regulation and on the breakaway in overtime. Apps with a career high now in tallies with 24. She actually leads the nation in goals per game. I think she actually leads the nation in total goals now. I think she's 1 step ahead of Megan Augusta of Mercyhurst. But tremendous game once again. I'll tell you what, Tiffany, your 2 games this year, you picked a heck of a time to show up. You got the 3-3 tie against UNH with Dartmouth scores with 19 seconds left. You got this one today. So whenever you tend to be in the building, I think high drama is what tends to unfold.
Yeah, I guess drama. I bring drama with me. So maybe Frozen 4, huh?
Who knows? It is in Lake Placid. That is actually Mark Hudak's hometown. That's a long way away. For right now, Dartmouth has secured first place in the ECAC Hockey League, and they are 5 points clear, having swept St. Lawrence and taken 3 or 4 points from Harvard. So barring a shocking collapse down the stretch, you will see the 2007 ECAC Hockey League Championships here in this building in what should be a raucous crowd as well. And that also should put Dartmouth in good position to host its quarterfinal game in the NCAA tournament. So a lot of things really on the table for the Dartmouth side today. And it took them until the final 18 seconds to rescue it, but they got the job done. And for St. Lawrence, nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, you go on the road against Harvard and Dartmouth and get 2 points. That's a good weekend, but still definitely a little bittersweet, I would imagine, just how close they got to getting 4.
Certainly, it's got to be a little bit heartbreaking for the Saints, but again, nothing to hold their heads about. And, I think this team is peaking at the right time, as I said, and, I wouldn't want to face them in the playoffs and come February. They're going to be a tough match, and obviously they showed what they were made of today, and, a few mental lapses cost them, but other than that, Dartmouth was very opportunistic, and I think if these 2 teams played again, it could easily go the other way.
So Dartmouth wins it 5-4. Our next game will be another video cast next week from Minnesota Duluth when national champion Wisconsin goes up against the T, the only team that has beaten them this year. Minnesota Duluth is getting hot and getting healthy at the right time, so that'll be a fun game next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on USCHO.com. For today, a couple people we have to thank before going off the air. I want to thank all the folks at Dartmouth who did a great job of helping us get us set up here logistically. Drew Galbraith and Anne-Marie from the athletic department who really did a nice job of communicating the technical setup. I want to thank Rob Cornell, the SID, as well. I want to thank Joe Keniston out of St. Lawrence. They set up the interviews you heard this week. I want to thank Andy Gay, Sari Piper, Mark Hudak, and Paul Flanagan for their time in interviews. I want to thank All In Broadcasting for a great job of production. And a very special thank you to my partner in crime, Tiffany Haig. Another job well done. Very fun to see you and very fun to work with you as always, but that's going to just about do it for us from Thompson Arena. High drama, but it's Dartmouth 5 and St. Lawrence 4. Jillian Apps wins it in overtime, and Dartmouth secures a hold on first place in the ECAC. And we'll see you next week, next Saturday night from Minnesota Duluth, Wisconsin, and UMD. In the meantime, have a great weekend, and keep your browsers tuned to USCHO.